Yo.
Hey, welcome to the new meta, episode 186.
186, season 2, episode 3. Incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Yep. So we
Big day in gaming.
yeah, it was I watched a little bit of it.
Did? Wow.
I did. Yeah.
Wow.
I tuned in.
Good for you.
Yep.
How much of it did you comprehend?
Just the new skills. I got to see how cool looking they were and
New skills or new skills.
new Val gems.
Yeah?
Is that
Yeah.
for you?
New Val skill gems?
Listen, I'll stop saying new skills when you stop calling legendaries uniques. Okay.
Yeah, and it's going to get even more confusing because in D4 there are uniques and legendaries.
Yeah.
It's funny too because I keep getting like my YouTube comments where people are like, man, like these are only legendaries. Like there's like a whole new tier of legendaries and they're called uniques. I'm like, the uniques are like, isn't that the shit you can only like wear one of or something?
I would think it's just a named legendary, but I don't know. Did we get any in the beta? If we did,
No,
I didn't notice.
definitely not.
I don't think I got any.
I thought uniques was like the thing you could only have one of on your dude. But
it could be. I don't know how they work because again, I didn't. Mine were all randomly generated because it was like sorcerer gloves of the trader, or, you know, whatever naming convention they use, right? And it's like, okay, I would assume that if they have uniques, they're going to be named items that would be unique equipped.
Actually, the butcher dropped his sickle, so
I didn't get. I killed his ass, but I didn't get. I only fought him once all weekend. I ran dungeons for a long time just trying to get him, and he only spawned once. So
yeah, I farmed him like 5 times on Saturday, but only got him like twice on Sunday. And I was just like farming one dungeon all day.
It was so weird. Yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit too. Let me actually note that down so I don't forget.
Okay.
Let's see. Where's our D4 stuff?
It's just that 2-line 930.
Okay. Yeah. Yep. So it was a good time. We'll jump into it, I guess, before I derail us too hard. Let's you want to talk about the polls?
Let's do it. So last week, if I can find the button, we asked New Meta Podcast question of the week: which new class in Diablo 4's open beta are you going to be trying first? Option 1, Druid. Option 2, Necromancer. And of course, we all have 5 heads in this community. So 62.7% of the vote went towards the Necromancer.
Yeah.
Thank goodness.
Yeah. I threw a random. It wasn't for the new meta. I just threw a random poll on my Twitter and I asked, what were your thoughts on D4?
Well, that's the one for this week. So you shut your mouth.
Oh, well, I already did it.
Well, just shush.
If you want to
new meta question of next week.
If you want to see the results,
go look at my Twitter. Now that Diablo 4's open beta is over, what are your overall thoughts on the game? Option 1, oh my god, poggers. Option 2, meh. Option 3, fun but needs work. Option 4, dog shit is. Go ahead and tweet that out.
That's funny. Okay, we can compare results next week.
Yeah.
See if they match up. Because your audience is a little toxic. So
totally. Oh, I didn't have chat open. We'll post that. And then we'll get cracking. What's up first here? Oh yeah, so this was kind of cool.
The new counters.
This is so early access open beta. So this is just the weekend of open beta. But total hours played 20,814,758 hours played by players.
That's a lot of life wasted right there.
Of time. For sure.
A lot of wasted life.
Wow.
20 million hours of thrown away effort.
Yeah.
Think about that. Like it's all trash, right? All of it's trash.
Gone.
That's so crazy if you think about it in that context.
Total player deaths 17,586,363. That's a lot of deaths.
A death an hour for each player, basically.
Like, good lord. Was there just like, I mean, we don't even see how many players total here, which is sad, but like, that's a lot of deaths.
Yeah, I would assume. Did they talk about the puppies on this one? Oh, they didn't say how many. Oh, I saw a post somewhere, I thought, where it talked about how many puppies that they
This
saved
open
or
weekend?
something. I don't know. It wasn't I know the closed beta they did one. I
Yeah.
thought they did a new updated one because it was like 2.5 million is what I want to say the number was. So 2.5 million people. Yeah, there's two there. Is one of those them?
Is it?
They're the same. I can't read. It's too small.
Most played classes, total hours played. No, it's the same one.
Somewhere I saw a 2.5 million puppies saved. I don't know where I saw it at. But either way.
Nope.
That's
they did tweet a lot over the weekend.
Yeah, they've been, their Twitter accounts
been
going crazy.
Which is interesting because I feel like this is different than what I just saw on the Twitter. Like the Twitter had different information.
Yeah, I thought somebody tweeted. You know what it was? I think somebody sent me one at work. Like in our like little group chat at work, somebody dropped it in there. I think that's where I saw it.
Oh, here we go. Yeah. Okay. So 2.6 million wolf packs earned. So that's reaching level 20. So that's, I mean,
it says open beta. We don't know. Yeah. So at least 2.6 million people, right? Because if you earn it on an account,
but way more than that,
it doesn't matter. You can't earn it twice, right?
Right. Yeah.
So 2.6 million people, and we don't know if this was the open beta or both combined. But that's 60 million. Like, look at the one you had. That's 60 million hours played.
Damn.
And they talk about the classes a little bit and stuff.
Yeah.
Like that's
most played classes: sorcerer and necromancer. Well, I mean, those were the best for leveling. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
So that probably helped.
Butcher was on a roll.
Yeah. Butcher deaths 500K. Butcher's players killed 1.7 million.
Yeah, Butcher was on a 3-to-1 ratio there of snagging us up.
Total monsters killed 29 billion. That's a lot of server load, man.
I had somebody. I was debating if I was going to bring this up. Okay. I had somebody tell me, and this is funny that people believe this.
Okay.
And if you're listening, I'm sorry for picking on you. I had somebody tell me that Butcher was being played by devs and killing people.
No.
I'm like, absolutely not.
No.
Absolutely not. Butcher is an NPC that randomly spawns. Maybe they have a way to spawn them on somebody. Maybe like that's stretching it in my opinion as well. But there's no way he was dev controlled.
Right.
And just to tickle my own fancy, I asked the people that I the contacts I do have. I was like, listen, I heard there's a rumor that devs are controlling Butcher. I know it's crazy, but just can you confirm that that's Garbaggio? And he's like, absolutely not. So, anyway, I just thought that was funny though, that people like Butcher kicked so much ass, people thought somebody was controlling him is basically what it was though. What do you think about that? That'd be pretty sick, right?
Yeah.
If they could spawn them on people, man, ultimate stream snipe, right? You're just sitting there, you got streamers in hardcore talking shit on your game, and you're like, oh, okay.
Two Butchers.
Fluff's in there, so Fluff's in there on a hardcore necro, just going, man, this is fucking easy game, just talking shit, right? And all of a sudden, Butcher just spawns on his ass.
I'd still kill him. Let's be honest.
2 or 3 Butchers spawn on his ass.
Like 10. Shava deaths 10 million, which is just crazy. Like once you figure out Shava, it is so hard to die. But
yeah, he had a very set pattern, didn't he?
No.
And on the slower kills, you really got time to figure it out. So it's water circle, leap, breath, 2-hand pull back to kill the melee, a little bit of a movement, water circle, and just repeats. That's all he did over and over and over. Watch out for the poison.
Shava deaths 100K, and then it says solo Shava kills almost 1 ? Which was me, obviously, on my rogue. It was insane.
The problem is getting into a lobby by yourself if you even wanted to attempt it.
I know. True. Yeah.
Like, how are you gonna like? I guess you could have 12 people in your thing, and they just run off to the edge of the screen and stand there.
Yeah.
So.
But man, the Necro compared to the Rogue single target was like it was garbage.
Yeah, well, we're gonna talk about that a little bit too, because I felt the same as well. So like super underwhelming with what the build I was playing, which was fun for everything else.
Right.
But for a Shava, I was like, oh, this sucks.
This is brutal.
Big time. So
that's all for those stats. This thing I found pretty interesting. I mean, we've talked about this 100 times over, but just the sheer size of the world. So the area bordered in red here is what we had access to in the beta. And so there is a large piece. We know there's five zones at the base game. So there's going to be, and I talked about this in kind of my review of Diablo 4's first week in early access open beta. But like, I think that this alone, if like you're like a Zelda player or you're like a God of War, like if you're into single player games, I think just Diablo 4 with these zones, I think is worth the price of the game, in my opinion. Just like if you're into that style of game. But
I wonder how the scale fits comparatively to like, because like Breath of the Wild felt ginormous.
Yeah.
Right. And I wonder how the scale would fit for like, player size versus if you just drop your Nephilim in Breath of the Wild, how much map would it take? To me, the thing with ARPGs, and I talked about this when I was streaming quite a bit, is as big as that zone looks, like in its square, ARPGs are very linear in their pathing.
Yeah.
Like it's not just open. You can't go like 50% of that map area is unplayable space because of the way that they route you around. So I called out that Diablo 4 did something that I wish Lost Ark would have more, which is have a really big open space where you could kind of go wherever you want. Because I felt Lost Ark was really bad about having narrow lanes the entire time to drive you around. But so I think that even though the map looks that big, it's still like almost 50 or 60% of that is actual playable space. And then I don't know. It didn't feel that big to me when we were running around those zones, though. So to me, I kind of felt like it wasn't as big as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna have mounts, right? And so I think the only times I really felt like, wow, like, this is big, were the times I had to go to the dungeons or sort of at the top right of the map because there was just no TP anywhere near those. And so that took a good long walk to get to some of those.
It takes a little bit, and it would take a really long time if you had to run the whole map if there were no teleporters.
Right.
I don't know what it's going to feel like to get our mount because we didn't get it.
Right.
I wish we would have had it in beta to kind of experience what it would be like. That being said, if the mounts are actually decent and they make you move significantly faster, I don't know if I want the teleporters in there. I think maybe each city, each zone maybe has a major city and you port to it and have to run. The downside of that would be going to specific dungeons.
Yeah.
Like going to a dungeon and getting, especially if you're in a party and saying, hey, let's go run, Frozen Tombs or whatever a dungeon name is. And we run down and then we have to wait 5 minutes for everybody to get there, Yeah,
I don't know. For me, it's like, I get the appeal, like, in World of Warcraft where they're like, okay, we don't have flying mounts, like, and you have to, run around everywhere on the ground. And it's just, to me, it does give like scaling to the world, like, wow, this is a huge open world. But for me, outside of like the first time I'm experiencing that world, like, I don't give a shit anymore. Like, I don't want to waste any time just like running to my next destination.
Yeah, and I'm with you on that. The first time, and that's the way that WoW handled it, right? Is your first character, except for the latest expansion, your first character was grounded, and then once he achieved the flying status, then your whole account got it, right? So your all subsequent characters could do it. And I'm with you on that, which brings me to concerns about seasons. I don't want to run around and get level statues every season.
Yeah. I
don't want to run around and have to grind reputation in every zone for skill points every season. I think those things would be super, super tedious and make me not want to play a season.
Yep, I agree.
That being said, what's the content going to be? We still haven't seen in game that makes me excited. So yeah, like Like, what's the content going to be? Is that the appeal of a season? Is going to be leveling again and
starting
going and getting all those zones
all that shit again?
It'll be weird because we've never, me personally, I didn't play D2 Ladder, so I don't. Maybe they can attest to the length there a little bit better. But in Diablo, even from season 1, even in season 1 of Diablo 3, you could get to max level in a night. Like, even if you were a slow player, you still hit max level in 6 to 7 hours tops, right? And I think we were probably doing it in 4 to 5 on season 1. Maybe it was a lot slower then. And now it's 45 minutes. You know what I mean? So when a season starts and we're starting at level 1, if it let's say it takes us 6 days to get max level in D4, a 6-day season grind, if the first week is spent just hitting max level, maybe the appeal to a new season is part of that leveling process,
But that's the part that worries me too, because man, like the Diablo 4, before you sort of got any legendaries and stuff like that, is, I don't know, it was pretty dull.
Yeah. I 100% agree.
It was,
and the problem to me and I know we said this on the last 2 podcasts. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Is because I played Lost Ark, man.
Sure.
And it's like out of the gate, it's fun to kill shit. And in D4, it wasn't.
Yeah.
It was just like this. I was like just sitting there kind of praying for a legendary drop to get something good, right? To be like, oh, all my skills suck. Can I please get a legendary that'll make something fun, right? Give me something that's usable that I enjoy using. And
yeah, and that, honestly, that kind of shifts into the next topic. This is a big sort of overarching thing that a lot of people seem to agree with about Diablo 4, is that like skills just don't operate on their own. This is something that I said time and time again inside of all of my review videos for Diablo 4, but like skills should just be good. You shouldn't need a legendary effect, and you certainly shouldn't have like, damage modifiers like that are 10,000% and stuff like that. And that's been a problem with Diablo 3 time and time again. So yeah, it seems to be kind of an overarching thing on the Reddit, is that people are like, why are we doing this again?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I agree with that sentiment. And I think you might have had a tweet about it later on, so maybe I won't go to that point yet. But yeah, I agree. Having to have a legendary to make a skill fun or to boost its damage isn't the design I was hoping for.
Yeah.
I should say. Yeah. And
there's definitely, especially while leveling, I mean, there's just going to be a meta, because like there's some skills that can perform without any legendaries, and there's some skills that are just trash until you get like just one effect or multiple effects, or even build out your entire character around a skill, and then it's usable. So
yeah,
have you
heard any rumors? Like I've had, so since the last podcast where we talked about the cost to reskill, I had a couple people send me some messages, and they were like, yeah, the devs were saying it was going to cost. I think the one thing that they linked me, they didn't send me the article. They copy pasted the text, the quote text in there, and it was summarizing. It said something to the effect of, at max level, it's probably more cost effective and time effective just to reroll a new character than it is to respec.
Yeah, that's pretty nutty.
That leads me to a very dark thought process.
Right, the gold.
Because I think it's going to be gold based, and I think they're going to sell gold on the item shop. That's just.
Do you think it's going to be like a WoW thing where you can like you put up gold, or they're just going to like inflate the gold system?
I think they're going to inflate the gold system, and you're going to open the shop, and it's going to be like buy 100,000 gold, $5, or whatever they determine the value to be. Right?
But then no, because that would be buying power, because you can upgrade gear. So I don't think they would do that.
I hope not.
I think if it required something else other than gold to upgrade gear, then maybe. But I think that would be direct.
Why would they want to make respecking so expensive though? You know what I'm saying? Are they, because the game's too casual to be that hardcore? Like to lock your talent choice in permanently or to make it unrealistic to redo seems like a weird design choice for a game that's, to me, coming off very casual. I don't know if it's hitting the same vibe for you. I think D4 is still a very casual game. None of the systems looked very deep.
Right.
So
yeah, I agree. And especially like when the game first comes out and no one really knows what's what yet. And so you get to max level and then you like put a build together because you have a couple legendaries. And then, you start farming and you get like entirely separate builds worth of legendaries. You're like, well, I want to switch to that. I mean, you're not going to want to like level all over again. You're going to want to try. I think they're,
like, what are you supposed to like
weird.
Basic skill attack through level 100 until you get the legendary you want to make your build? Like it doesn't, and maybe the Codex of Power is like, well, you can have it right out of the gate, at crap value.
Yeah.
But you're like, okay, so I just don't know. To me, it seems like it's a game that's designed for experimentation with their legendary system that they've created, but yet they're going to lock respecking behind gold and going to make it hard to do. And maybe the article was old, maybe it's wrong, maybe that's not the case. But man, it just makes me think that the gold sync is going to be respecking, and it's going to be so expensive that we can't realistically afford to do it. So we're going to have to pay money to do it. Like that will be something for sale on this item shop.
Maybe.
I hope not. Again, total speculation, me trying to connect dots that probably don't exist. But
I could see it being like Path of Exile. Like Path of Exile, you should probably just start a new character. But like if you farm enough, like it's not the end of the world to just...
Yeah, like maybe a hardcore player, like, people that go kind of hard, they're going to have the gold to do it. But your average, Andy's not going to have the money. So, I don't know. But again, with a game that feels so casual, I don't think that system would stick very well. If that's the case.
I definitely get why it's in there though, because like I think, especially the Diablo 2 community, like you misspec one skill in Diablo 2, like you're done, bricked, right? Like so you you just start over. So I think a lot of things like that I think are just in the game because like the Diablo 2 Andes like it. And I think like Thorns, especially making its return to Diablo 4. I mean, I gotta assume that that's just because the Diablo 2 Andes, like, it's such a trash fucking mechanic.
I can't even, like, I don't even, even if it's good, I still wouldn't want to play it, man. Like,
And I get like, I talked about this in the Necro review, but like if you put up you get a skill on your bard, it's like spiked armor, right? Like you have bone spike armor and then you just activate it. And it's like a 10-second cooldown and it like lasts for 5 seconds. And while it lasts, you hit people with spikes that hit you. Like I'm all for that, but just passively like building thorns on gear and just passively doing damage just like as a base on your character is so fucking lame to me. Like it's just so outdated. This is a modern.
I think even hitting the ability that gives you thorns for 5 seconds is lame. Like you get hit to do, like, I don't know, man. If they want to have that in the game, fine, whatever. I don't have to use it, right? But to me, that's just a wasted skill opportunity.
I agree.
I think I don't like it, but not everybody has to agree with what I like and dislike. Sure. So if people love thorns, then more power to you. I don't, it's like you probably like doing bounties too, but whatever.
But that's kind of it on that subject. To talk about the tweets, I thought these 2 tweets are particularly interesting. So Joseph, this is I'm not even going to try to pin it. Piplora? I'm sorry, Joseph, if that's totally wrong, but he tweeted out, I don't think folks realized how many more legendary powers exist beyond what was displayed during the Diablo 4 beta. There's a lot of bizarre, exciting, and totally balanced legendaries to discover when the game goes live in June. So just that tweet alone, I'm like, okay, Poggies, that sounds good. Yeah. And then someone replied, which I agree with. He said, slightly confused. Do you mean the list? Do you think that the beta didn't show us the legendary powers on the list, or we just didn't get access to them all because they weren't set drop rate the beta, or they weren't listed in the aspects? And that's so my question would be like, well, is that just like people are looking at the Codex of Power list as if that was like everything that was in the game, right?
Right.
And so he says the Codex of Power contains less than half of all possible legendary powers that can be found in Diablo 4. Plenty more legendaries can be found later in the game. But this one was super confusing to me. Because, so is he saying the Codex of Power contains less than half of possible legendaries that can be found in Diablo 4? So then I'm like, well, I thought the whole point of the Codex of Power system was that it had everything, but it was just like the shit tier of everything.
Yeah.
Or is he saying that the Codex of Power in the beta contains less than half of all power because they just haven't been added to the Codex yet?
Yeah. I hopefully take it as they haven't been added to the Codex yet. Right?
Well, I would say hopefully that's not it because, well, I mean, I guess both would be right. Because if he's saying the Codex of Power contains less than half of all possible legendaries, that means we're just getting double the amount of legendaries we saw in the beta, which is pretty unimpressive. And furthermore, that would be really shitty because I thought the whole point of the Codex of Power was so you could get a build going. You get all the like the legendaries or whatever you need for your build, but it's like the worst possible tier. I thought that was the point of the Codex of Power system. So I'm confused by this reply altogether.
I agree, and the way I take it, this my interpretation is that less than half are in the game. It's a beta build, and I just think when we launch retail, when it goes live, I think that all of the legendaries will show in the Codex of Power. That's the way that I think it would work. And so it's less than half. So let's just say we had 50 this time around, then we'll have 100, a little over 100. So I don't think we're going to have a crazy amount of legendaries.
Yeah.
You were hoping for more powers than double what we saw?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, ultimately, it seems like the aspects are really how you make a character your own. Like, it doesn't seem like you're not going to make a character your own based on the skill tree. No way.
No. What are you talking about? What skill tree is amazing.
All your character customization seems to come from gear, which I mean is Diablo 3.
I wonder if we compared the skill tree to the skill twig that they posted. I wonder like how much different it is node wise.
I don't know.
That'd be interesting.
I remember when we compared the first two iterations and we were like, oh, like, well, this one's just this one with like this broken apart, so it seems like it's got more branches. Yeah, the illusion of choice
and a tree picture behind it.
Yeah.
So
but yeah, so I don't know how to read that. I'm hoping obviously that means there's like a ton of shit, but the negative side to that coin would be that the Codex of Power doesn't contain everything, so I don't know. We'll see. But after
either way, that leads me back to, and his reply even kind of says it. The basic skills are so basic, like skills in general, but I'm going to specifically pick on the basic skills. We're so bland and so uninteresting.
Yep.
I didn't want to use them, yet I had to waste talent points on them. I had to. And Necros felt a little better than the other classes, but man, they were still bad. But they were like, okay, this is a little better, I guess. But to have to use legendaries to make any skill cool and fun is not a good game design.
Yeah.
I feel like your base skill should still be worth pressing the button.
Yep.
Feel good to press the button.
Yep.
So
I think, like, obviously we both agree that Lost Ark Combat is rank 1, but you know, I think that POE's like skill link system is, I mean, it's pretty bar none.
Yeah,
I would love to see something more along those lines, but right now we just have like, I don't know, you pick a skill and I don't know. In Path of Exile, at least like you pick like, I don't know, Venom Gyre, and on its own, like at level 1, it's going to do okay. And like that's the whole point. And then you like get better gear and you start to link it and it sort of grows with you as you level and you spec your character.
Yeah, and the cool part
is not how this game works
yeah,
at all.
And with my limited PoE experience, I can say that in some of the builds I played, it was like a melee, it was a lacerate build. I don't remember exactly the details on it now. But as I started leveling it and as my gym got better and as I started combining it with links, right, and getting more and more skills linked up with it, you saw this progression in your ability and it felt cool. But the first time I used it, I was still like, oh, that's pretty dope. Like, it's cool. It's shooting out of like a little sonic boom thing and killing stuff.
Yeah.
And then I got it to where it was like shooting them faster and shooting more and shooting the whole arc of them. And I'm like, oh, you know, so like you saw this progression. I didn't see anything that manipulated a skill. Did you have any legendaries that you saw that manipulated a skill enough to make it go from this isn't cool to press the button to like, oh damn, that's really dope?
Yeah, on the rogue.
Okay, what was it? What did you get?
God, what was the blades thing? It turned like the skill that like you would just stab like this, and that's it, and then would like pull it back out to like it would start to
lacerate or something.
Twisting blades, right?
Okay, yeah. And so it pulled it out, and then
it made like the blade spin around you.
Okay, yeah. So like that's cool,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
The fan of knives one I thought was decent too, where instead of doing the little arc, it did like a 360, I think, around your character. Sure. But I didn't use it very long. I put it on. It was like cast fan of knives a couple times, whatever the skill was called. And I was like, oh, that makes it better. And then I took it back off, But I'm trying to think, like on the sorcerer, I don't remember getting a thing that was just like I got the quote unquote serpent sparker from D3 where I could have 2 hydras up. And like, yeah, it was pretty cool to have 2 hydras, but it didn't change it. Like hydra was a very powerful skill to begin with. It felt good to begin with. It just felt the same as D3.
Yeah.
I had 2 like D3. I'm like, okay, I got 2 hydras now.
I will say, so like I felt that this was a huge negative with the beta of Diablo 4. So on the rogue, as soon as you got that twisting blades, like it was night and day. Like your characters, it was like completing a set. Like all of a sudden you had a 10,000 damage bonus modifier. Same thing with the necromancer. As soon as you got the blood mist legendary that triggered the corpse explosion, all of a sudden you're like a 50,000 damage multiplier. It was like crazy. And I think there was something like that on the Druid, like pulverizer. I don't remember what it was, but it's just like I hated that. I hated that about like one, because they were just too good not to run, and then 2, it's just like there shouldn't be one singular thing that just completely changes your character's like damage by like 10 times.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I hated that.
There's ways that they can too. The thing is it's too late in the production cycle, man. We got 2 months before the game comes out. Like, so even if they gather, even if, let's just say that our feedback is the majority, which it may not be. I don't know. I see so many tweets where they're like, oh my God, this was so amazing and perfect, and I can't wait to play. And I'm thinking, like, my general thought is, is it worth $70? Yes. I think most people will probably get their money's worth out of the game. I think it would probably be hard. You can go to the movies for 2 hours and spend $70.
Yeah.
Right. So can you put $70 in this game and get 30 hours of gameplay out of it? I think probably. Yeah. It'd be pretty hard not to. But for some people like us that are going to maybe spend 6, 10, 20,000 hours in the game.
Right.
I just don't think that, the replayability is going to be there. And I think that the feedback that we give won't be the majority,
right,
or it won't be enough time for them to make the course correction to fix it. Yeah.
And that's what I tell, like, people are like, well, do you think it's gonna be worth the money? Yes. Do I feel like it's the proper successor to Diablo? No.
Yeah. That's how I feel too. My response is it going to be a good game? Absolutely. It'll be fun. Yep, you'll have a good time. Is it the game? And what I mean by the game, is it the game that I'm going to play? Is it the only game that I'm going to be fantasized about, thinking about when I'm not playing, I'm at work, I'm thinking, oh crap, I can do this, or I could do that, or I can't wait to go play and run this thing or do that thing? And the answer is, I don't think so. I don't think it's going to be that for me. And that's what I wanted it to be. So that's why I'm disappointed. So people are like, why are you so unhappy with the game? It's not that I'm unhappy with the game. It's just not what I wanted it to be.
Sure.
So.
I know this was just a post, and it's not necessarily the content of this post that was what drove me to it. But there were so many times where, I mean, I had a pretty good grasp on how itemization worked by the end of the beta. But there were so many times where I look at an item and the damage range was smaller, the attacks per second was smaller, like the damage close, all the stuff that was decent was lower, but the item seemed to tell me that if I put it on, my damage per second would go up. It just made 0 sense whatsoever.
I can't really read what's on there for me. It's little, but what is the highlights? Is that what he's pointing out?
Yeah, so he's pointing out that the highlights when you like compare. So this one says, his old weapon is 4.5 crit strike damage. If he put on the new one, it's 5.5 crit strike damage. But the properties lost when equipped says 4.5 crit strike damage would be lost, even though there's just a 1% difference between the original and the one he's putting on. So the shift, obviously there was problems there. But also just the damage per second range it was showing by comparison was pretty bizarre. And it also shows on the comparison itself, like not just the properties lost, but this one says 4.5 and the one he's looking at says 5.5. But it also says that he'll gain 5.5 by putting on, even though he would just gain 1%. So it's weird.
It's kind of broken. It would be kind of cool if they would. I was kind of hoping for a test dummy in here too, because I found times like when I was playing around with some Necro stuff, there were times where I would kill things too quickly, and then I couldn't see how it would work. I was like, man, I need a boss. I need something that will live for a little bit so I can see what does more damage. And there wasn't really that thing that I could find until a Shava. I'm like, well, it'll be cool to test on this on a Shava. And then I get to her and I'm like super disappointed. And then it's like, well, now I need to kill her and wait 2 hours to get another shot. It's so it would have been, I don't know. That's a fix maybe with difficulty. You can just keep turning your difficulty bar up when we get the real game. I don't know. But I think a test dummy would be kind of cool. I wish, I wouldn't be opposed to them slapping one in the world somewhere.
Yeah, of course.
So.
And then this was alarming to see. So basically the TLDR is on every class, if you animation cancel, you attack faster with your basic skill, which is terrifying.
Was it like attack move? Is that how are they canceling?
It's just like, it's just like in Diablo 3 where you just like scroll down because it would just make it spam force move. But yeah, if you just sit there and you hold down the attack, it's significantly slower than like attack, force move, attack, force move, attack, force move, attack, force move.
Yeah, I remember rocking the Crusader Blessed Hammer build, and you scroll wheeled it.
Exactly.
If you scroll wheeled it, you attacked like 3 times faster. It would be the same thing.
Same with Fury's Charge. You would animation cancel the full animation of the charge, and then you would just do it faster. It's just like,
or I can't talk specifically. If you got the enemy in the corner on the Furious Charge barb, I mean, it got super nutty how fast you could cancel it. They patched that in D3, at least to a huge extent.
They patched like one skill at a time in D3. They didn't patch.
But I think today, I don't think there's a lot of animation canceling that's beneficial at this point. So yeah, that's funny. They should hopefully nerf that before it comes out.
And I think
I do not want to run around spamming scroll.
Exactly. And I think that is, I mean, we can maybe chalk this up to like, oh, it's just they didn't know that was a thing, but they had to have like known, because D3, like it's just like learn from past mistakes. And so like putting damage modifiers on items, that's a past mistake of Diablo 3. Animation canceling, that's a past mistake of Diablo 3.
Here's the thing though, is we needed this beta test 6 months ago.
I agree.
Like the feedback that we're going to give them isn't going to be actionable. There's not enough time, and they're probably already working on GM releases anyways, right? So I feel like they didn't even have the report a bug feature open for the open beta. I don't know if you noticed that. For the closed beta, there was a option to report some bugs, and we tried to do it in the open beta, and it was like, oh, the button's gone. Okay.
Alarming, for sure. But let's move on to what we thought of the 2 new classes in Diablo 4's open beta. So first up, the Druid. How much of the Druid did you play? What did you like? What did you not like? You played zero Druid?
I didn't touch the Druid.
No shit.
I didn't even touch it. And
wow.
So I watched some people play it. Dats played it a little bit. I watched Dat Mods for a little while. I watched some other people. I jumped into Necro, and I just really had a good time and experimented with that and played around a little. But
okay, well, let's talk about Necro first.
The feedback I got for Druid was everybody disliked it leveling. Literally everybody. And a couple people said once you got some legendaries and gear at max level, it was okay.
Yeah.
But the feedback was that it was worse than Barb, is what I was hearing. From what I saw, it didn't look very appealing from the stuff that I watched. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to jump into it. And I have to admit, I played Necro. I leveled the Necro to 25. I did all the dungeons again on the Necro just to feel what it felt like. Did a Shava, worked on getting the legendaries that had the powers that I wanted to play with. I tried to make a minion build, as a powerful of a minion build as I could. And it felt really good, but man, by Saturday evening, I was done with the beta. I was like, I'm bored with it. You know what I mean? I don't want to continue to grind. I don't have any more talent points to get. And I would have to, I could sit there and try to put more builds together, but it just wasn't that appealing to me at that point. So.
Okay. But
feedback for Necro?
Yeah.
It was easy mode. Like leveling with your minions. If I don't know if you leveled with a minion build.
Of course.
I leveled with the minion build. I was literally AFKing World Quest. I could AFK dungeons. I would go to like the world events, and just as kind of a joke for stream, I would take my hands and do like this, and literally my minions would complete the event while I stood here like this and didn't have to move.
Yeah.
And they mastered the event on top of it. Like they they beat all the achievements, and so yeah, man, like it was good. I don't know. You can just, I don't know. It was good. Was it the most fun I've ever had? I'm going to say probably not. I think I probably had more fun on the Sorcerer, if I'm being honest.
Okay. Yeah. For me, it was cool to see minions do damage. That's not something we've seen since Diablo 2. Mages did damage in Diablo 3, but those are temporary. So it was weird to see minions that are always with you, they're doing good damage. It seemed like the AI was, for the most part, okay. Sometimes they wouldn't attack, but I thought the AI was okay in Diablo 3 as well. They just didn't do any fucking damage.
Well, not the Witch Doctor one. The Necro's AI on pets was so much better than Witch Doctor, which doesn't make any sense to me. Like, can they swap AIs?
I don't know. And then, like, oh man, I mean, I could say a million things. I think that the core skills for the Necro, for one, Blood Lance and Bone Spear, it's the same skill. I hate that they're two different skills. I don't understand why they are to begin with. I think it's insulting to say that they are. Blight was fun. It was like a nice change of pace. It was one of the brand new skills for the Necro.
Was Blight the one that left the pool on the ground?
It did leave the pool on the ground. And there was a legendary aspect that made it like suck enemies, like Brig's Wrath. Like that was cool. But again, Blight was not good on its own. I had to really build a shadow character to make Blight, in line with Bone Spear damage. Not even in line with Bone Spear damage.
Bone Spear damage felt really good out of the gate.
Yeah.
Like it felt it. So to me, instantly when I started playing, when I tried all the core skills, and I was like, Bone Spear is by far the highest damage by itself among the other ones. Blood Lance felt inferior pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Was it called Blood Nova?
Yeah.
It was
Blood
basically
Surge.
Death Nova. Blood Surge. Yeah, Blood Surge was basically Death Nova, kind of from D3, and it actually was the coolest ability to use. Like, not for damage, but just for like coolness factor. I thought it was my favorite if I were to pick one of the core skills.
But so Blight was good, but again, it wasn't good without points. Sever, once you got all the minions, it was in line with Bone Spear, like without juice. It was pretty darn good. Because it would scale based on how many minions you had. So it actually became quite good.
I saw you using it a little bit. I watched you for a while and you were testing things.
And then we move on to the next tier. It was like Blood Mist. Like, no one ran Blood Mist on its own until they got the legendary aspect. So it's like Blood Mist wasn't that cool. To me, Bone Prison was, I guess, kind of cool. Like if
you could troll people with Bone Prison on a Shava.
You could
I'm
trap
like,
them in a
what?
Bone Prison.
People were trapping me in bone prisons, and I'm just like, are you trolling me right now? I died to a Shava twice because I think people were doing it on purpose because it was like right before her attack goes, and I'm getting ready to move, and it's like bone prison around me. I'm like, you mothers, you know what I mean? So, yeah, that's super troll. You shouldn't be able to.
I agree. You should not be able to trap other players unless it's PvP, obviously.
Yeah.
And then not being able to breach your own wall is like kind of weird.
I thought you could walk through it too the first time, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm stuck in here myself.
But bone spears will go through it, so I guess that's cool. But it's like, I mean, you're locking.
You can put a wall around yourself, kind of, if you're scared.
Sure, yeah. Corpse Explosion was undoubtedly super strong. It reminded me a lot of Diablo 3 in that regard. Is like, I feel 100%. Like Corpse Explosion is going to be like one of the skills that you level with. It's just
it looks good. It feels good, but it also feels the exact same. So it was like getting in that comfortable bed that you slept in for 10 years. You're like, oh, I missed you, and you jump in. I was disappointed that I knew it was going to be in the game. Like you knew it was going to be in the game. Yeah. It's like Whirlwind. You knew a Whirlwind's going to be in the game too. Those were two skills that I would have bet my house on.
Yep.
But I'm glad it's there because it was fun to use and it looked cool and it worked well. But I'm also disappointed because it's the same shit we ran in D3. So I'm like, man, I don't know.
I mean, if you really want to get started on D3,
that would be the same thing as like not having Whirlwind though. Like it's got to be in there. It's got to be in the game, right? Can you make a Necro and not have Corpse Explosion?
Of course.
You think they could?
I mean, they can bring back Corpse Explosion, but there's a lot of different things they can do with Corpse Explosion. Is the big thing that bothers me.
It felt so D3.
But okay, so while you're on the subject of D3, I wanted to kind of touch on, and we talked about this in my Necro review, but okay, so Grim Scythe is Reap, right? So Reap in Diablo 4 is Grim Scythe from Diablo 3. Decompose is Blood Siphon from Diablo 3. Hemorrhage is new. Blood Splinters is new. Blood Lance is Blood Spear from Diablo 3. Blood Surge is Death Nova from Diablo 3. Blight's new. Sever's new. Bone Spears from Diablo 3. Blood Mist is brand new. Bone Prison's brand new, but it's from Diablo 2. Corpse Explosions is obviously from Diablo 3 and it works exactly the same. Iron Maiden's from Diablo 2. Decrepify's from Diablo 3 and it looks exactly the same as it does in Diablo 3. Corpse Tendrils is brand new. Bone Spirit's not brand new. It's trash and it looks exactly like it does in Diablo 3.
It is trash.
Army of the Dead is back from Diablo 3. It's not exactly the same. Bone Storm isn't a skill in Diablo 3, but it's an Aria set bonus. So like literally there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these skills. 7 skills that are new of like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So it's like, God damn.
Less than half. Yeah. But I think that's the case for most of the classes too, though. Right? I mean, if you did the same thing on Sorcerer, I'm sure it's the same.
Yeah, but
Chain Lightning was new. Yeah. Well, just because Druid wasn't in D3 though, but if you look at Druid from D2, how many are reborrowed?
I mean, definitely the forms. But the forms work differently because it's like.
Well, I mean, you got to have
skills
forms,
shift you into them, right? Vine Creeper's back. The Wolf Companions are back. Ravens are back. That's true. Hurricane's back. I actually don't remember Boulder. I think it probably was a thing. Anyways, but yeah, I mean, I guess it's a lot of borrowed stuff from D2.
Yeah, I think most of the stuff it seems like most of the skills either came from D2 or D3. And so, like chat saying Chain Lightning is a D2 skill, right? So that's not new for Sorcerer. Hydra's not new. I mean, I don't have them all memorized, but you can go through them. I don't remember too many new, like the Dragon Snake thing is new, the ultimate, the quote unquote ultimate, but I don't know. And that just circles back to the whole conversation of the skills to me are one of the most important things in the game, and they were the biggest disappointment to me.
Yeah.
If I had to pick what's my biggest negative feedback on the game, it's the skills. It's literally like combat feels just like D3, which that's fine, but the skills are just nowhere close to what I expected or wanted.
The one thing I didn't touch on in my Necro feedback video is like, so you look at the Druid, and Druid is definitely not as strong as some of the other classes for leveling. It's probably the worst to level, even maybe more so than the Barb. I thought it was kind of even personally, but I felt like at least the Druid, you had skills to choose from. And again, it suffers from the problem of like skills aren't good on their own, but like you had like, most of the stuff is like interesting. Like, so every tier here is like a skill that does damage almost. I think there's some defensive skills in here. But if you look at the Necro, like our entire third, like other than Corpse Explosion, the third tier is like defensive. And then the next tier is like curses. So like they don't really do anything. And the tier after that is Corpse Tendrils. Corpse Tendrils doesn't really do damage. Bone Spirit was unusable. Yeah. And then after that, we go to the ultimates, which were all trash tier.
All garbage.
All fucking garbage. And so just like it seemed like
ripped him so hard.
Even the Necromancer in general just had like even less skills than other classes because there's just so many things that don't do anything. Like curses, you're not.
There were so many uneventful things. And to me, like vulnerability in itself is so powerful. It's 20% damage. Like you have to figure out how you're going to get it in your build, right? And so you look at the skills, and so you say, okay, so I have to have one of these to get vulnerability on my thing, or maybe multiple because it takes too long to apply them this way. And so I don't know, man. I didn't like the skills. I didn't like the runes, so to say, whatever the other talents are called, that put, give me vulnerability, give me this, give me that. I wasn't happy with the synergies. Like the entire system to me just doesn't feel good.
Right.
So. And
someone just said, oh, at least the minions don't take skill slots. Yeah, they do.
They do. Your golem takes a skill slot.
The golem takes a skill slot, and the skeletons take a skill slot.
And the skeleton takes a skill slot. So not only that, Necro only got 4 actual skills to choose.
Yeah.
They held up 3. They get 4 skills to choose. And on top of that, I even said, well, what if I summon my golem and then drop it off my bar and put something else on there? And he poofs, right?
Yeah. If you take him off your bar, he's gone, right?
Yeah, you can't even do that. You can't even do a swapperoo. So I'm not opposed to the 6 skill slots. I'm okay with that. I don't think you need 27 skills like WoW to have fun. But the ultimates should get removed from the skill tree in the form that they are and go to something maybe more similar to what the minion skill book looked like for Necro across the board. Put them on the Z key. I don't care. Give them an ultimate bar that when you can use it, put it on the timer, but give us the 6 skill slots back. Ultimate's the 7th. We have to pick between the things on the tree, and then make them good. Like, God, all the ultimates sucked on Necro. Like we sat there and made fun of Blood Nova for like 5 minutes. I was like, this is Blood Nova. What is it called? Is it really called Blood Nova?
Blood Wave.
Blood Wave. Blood Wave is literally a basic skill at best.
Right.
Like at best, you should be able to spam it.
Cooldown. Right.
And it's a basic skill tier. Like it's the cool factor. Like anything about it is all basic tier skill. Like you should be spamming Blood Wave, not a 60-second cooldown. I don't know.
Same thing with Bone Spirit. Like Bone Spirit eating all your essence as a base rune. Like, why would you ever use that? And I
even if you
like
spend all your juice, it doesn't even hit hard.
I know.
It doesn't even.
I saw
damage.
some data mine stuff, which I absolutely hate. So like, there's this system that Necro has. It's blood orbs, right? So like, some skills have a chance to create blood orbs, and these are these things you go pick up. They heal you for 15% life. In some of the Dandelion legendaries, will you get effects for picking up these blood orbs? Like blood orbs will spawn a bone spirit that explodes or whatever. And so it seems like there's going to be a system around like when you kill stuff or you hit stuff. Sometimes you'll have to go run around and pick up these blood orbs in combat. Like, man,
those little blood orbs, whatever they were called, were extremely powerful too because it negates the potion system. They healed you for, what does it say, 15%, 20% of your life, something like that?
Yeah.
And you could, so if you had skills that generated them, like, so I tried out different things. What's the basic skill that was actually new? Hemorrhage, yeah. So you could spam hemorrhage and get like two of those things, or you get a couple to pop off on the screen. But then if you're fighting a boss, especially with a minion build, and they're all over the place, you're like, okay, I never have to use a heal pot ever again.
Yeah, but that sucks because like the heal pot system's pretty good.
Yeah, so, like, you negated the heal pot system.
I don't want these blood orbs.
That's like, that's my whole point. Cool, right? The whole point is the basic skill negated the entire potion system. Like it's like a supplement. And it made Necro feel super tanky in that aspect of if you're running minions. So first off, I didn't use that skill as my primary anyways. I think it didn't synergize. But I'm just saying if you did use it and you're running a minion build, you're literally just kind of running around the screen doing nothing as your minions killed it anyways, throwing some bone spears out maybe. Or whatever you wanted to do. But it's like, and then you negated the potion system. So now you have like crazy healing because I'm hurt. Oh, get these blood orbs. Oh, I don't have those. I can potion. That's cool. Oh, now I got more little blood things. Yeah. So I didn't like it. I didn't like many of the synergies there. Corpse Explosion was like the one staple that I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool. But then again, you just keep going back to it. Like, man, this is already in D3, dude.
Right.
Why am I using this?
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I did end up putting like a shadow damage over time build together, and it was okay. It was okay, fun to play, but I definitely wasn't having as much fun.
When you did the shadow, what did you do? Like what were your basic, like what were your skills real quick? I
put in 2 points because you can't get to the next tier without putting 2 points, but I actually didn't end up running a basic skill. I replaced it with the golem. So I had the golems and the skeletons because in Diablo 4, it's just not. None of these sacrifice minion skills will ever make up for how good the minions are in their current form. There's something on the tree that's like you get 60% more effects of the sacrifice effects if you sacrifice minions. So like, and then one of them's like 5% crit. So you get 60% more of 5%, which is like 8%. So just like even that, even if you spec'd and wasted 4 points to get this thing, like it's still garbage.
Not gonna get it.
Yeah. So the sacrifice stuff needs to be way better. But anyway, so I put 2 points in Regis to get to the next tier, and then I am putting 5 points into Blight, building out Blight because for slow, and then the minions deal 15%. You and the minions deal 50% damage to enemies in Blight because I would suck all the dudes in.
Yep.
And then I went full Corpse Explosion, and I went the Shadow route because again, it's new and it was exciting, and I was building a Shadow.
Is the Shadow the one that gives you more damage if they have Vuln and slow and all this stuff on them?
No, Shadow damage is a damage type, but there's a Corpse Explosion. One of the Corpse Explosion rune makes it like instead of just exploding once, it explodes in a big outward circle and just does a dot.
Okay, yeah, I remember
over 6 seconds, which is terrible on its own. Actually, horrible on its own.
Horrible, yeah, because I tried it on its own. I'm like, no,
it's like
this
6
sucks.
Damage versus like the 80 damage that Corpse Explosion did. So it's like never worth. But I built it, and I had a point on my pants for Blood Mist just for that legendary aspect. And then I built out no curses at all.
Yep, same.
Oh, and then I did the shadow damage. So you go into when you damage enemies with darkness skills, they take increased shadow damage. And it stacks up to 3 times, so that'd be 20% more shadow damage. And then I get the Terror, rank 3, darkness deals 9% bonus damage who are slowed because Blight slows. And then damage, double that to enemies that are stunned or mobilized. And then in the Book of the Dead, your Reapers would have a 20% chance to stun. And that's basically the only way I was stunning. But it went off actually quite a bit. So I do triple damage when they're stunned. And then I found a legendary that turned Bone Storm into shadow damage. So that would be like my big cooldown.
Oh.
And then everything else.
Did you go with the ice mages to slow as well for more slows?
So I used the shadow mages to stun, and then the warriors.
I thought it was the reapers. I thought they were the shadow. Were there shadow mages? I thought they were bone.
Yeah, I can pull up the other link.
Regular. I don't remember them all. I think there was a bone mage.
The warriors.
The warriors had the reaper, which is the way to go. I'm pretty sure you did that one.
The carve. Yeah, I used the reapers to form a corpse, and then the mages. The cold mages were great because they gave you essence, but I ended up going with the stun.
Or was that a talent?
It was a talent. The shadow mages get 10% chance to stun, and so I could get triple damage with.
Hover over the cold mages too. I think the cold mages had a chance to apply Vuln.
They give you essence, or enemies are frozen or damaged by frozen will apply vulnerable.
Yeah, that's what I did the Vuln. Because it seemed like it actually, the Vuln from the mages procced quite a bit, and I was kind of happy with that, because it took some of the pressure off to me to try to figure out ways to get Vuln on the enemies.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's all I did. Is I built a shadow damage over time because it was new. So
I think the pet system was pretty cool. I liked it. Like, in all honesty, I don't know that if all the choices were equal in power level. I think there could be some balancing there, but just as a general concept, I think having the ability to say, okay, I want my mages to be this, this, or this, right? I liked that. I liked the warrior, kind of the same with the golem.
I think that the Book of the Dead system could be cool. I think there needs to be like more options for each type of minion. I also think obviously the sacrifice needs to be a lot more. And the only thing I had said that like maybe it might need, I don't know. I think they need to go back to the drawing board maybe with keeping the minion skills on your bar. But specifically having the skeletal mages and skeletal warriors be the same button seems a little strong if it stays as it is. And it also seems weird to me that like there's no reason you would run just mages or just warriors, because again, like the sacrifice things suck. So why, if you're gonna run skeletal warriors, like if you don't run skeletal mages, like you're just dumb. So I don't know, man. Like there's just so much that needs work with that. I think there's a good ideas there, but
I don't think. Yeah. So yeah, true. The sacrifice kind of needs to go there, because if you don't run minions, then you're giving up your entire class subclass thing or whatever class special. But I also think, like, you're right. If you're not running a pet build, then the bonuses need to be bigger, and maybe there needs to be more talents to substitute for that. As far as the choices, definitely would like to see more choices in there, though.
Yeah,
to pick. But I think that's a okay start. Like, I'm not disappointed in the system, and it's like, scrap it, throw it away. Let's get an entire new Necro system.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't even know that you had a choice at first. It probably told me in game, but I wasn't paying attention. So I definitely went several levels before I was like, oh, I actually can choose something on the warriors, and not just the same bland old thing. So that was kind of cool.
Sure.
But all in all, yeah, I would say Necro it's going to be popular. It is very powerful. It is powerful.
It's strong.
In the sense, for like just running dungeons, I mean, it was cake. Like, you're just kind of walking through, and if you wanted to help your minions, you could, but they did a pretty good job on their own. So if you're speeding through the dungeons, just trying to complete the objectives to get to the boss, you could kind of run through pretty quickly, and the minions kept you safe because they took aggro off you, and then they would kill stuff too. I ended up just going like full minion power pretty much as hard as I could in the talent tree system. And then getting, there was like 3 of 3 warrior damage, 3 of 3 mage damage. There was something for golem damage. There were other subsequent, like if you used the basic skill that sucked the brown stream, decrepify, decompose, I think maybe actually.
Mm-hmm.
If you decompose them, then you could get 10% more minion damage when you're channeling that. And that would also generate corpses for you, which you could heal your pets with the corpses, with the priest thing. And then there was a couple talents. So the problem that I fought the first time with the Shava, she one-shot all your pets, and then you're like, well, crap. And then you couldn't really, you couldn't generate corpses fast enough to keep your entire army up, especially if you had, like I had plus, I had a total of 12 minions, I think 11 or 12 minions, like plus 3 warriors and plus 2 mages, or vice versa, something like that. And so then so I'm like, okay, so the next time I fought her, I reinvested some talent points into the ultimate tree. There were some talents that let them they could only take a percentage of health per swing. So then that got rid of the one shot from a Shava, and you could keep them alive. You could maintain them, but it wasn't really fun. Like, I had to invest so many talents to keep them alive that it really wasn't fun to fight her, though. I'm just doing the mechanics, and Necro had no mobility skills, which kind of bummed me out a little bit. Like, I'm like, as much as I complain about recycles from D3,
like, get
Blood Rush would have been pretty nice. You know what I mean? And I think Blood Rush is kind of one of the few exceptions where I would have been like, okay, that makes sense, because you expect the warrior is going to have charge, you expect the mage is going to have teleport. I kind of expected the Necro to have Corpse Explosion and Blood Rush. Those were the two I was banking on.
Yeah.
And their blood thing slowed you by 20%, actually. So I was like, oh, okay, this is silliness. So yeah, so you really just had to play the mechanics and keep your minions alive, and that wasn't fun on a Shava at all. And I think the damage was kind of poo-poo as well.
Yeah.
So especially compared to Rogue. Like you get on a Rogue and I felt like I was doing a little bit of damage, but on the Necro, I was like, man, I don't feel like I'm pulling my own weight here. This sucks.
Yep. Yeah, man, there's so many things that.
But that being said, that was a Shava. For dungeons, though, it was a cake. It was an absolute cakewalk. So, and those are just balancing things. They can tweak numbers to balance to pull the balance in. But
I think that was one of the most. Number one most disappointing thing to me was them insinuating that Bone Spear and Blood Lance are two different skills. They're clearly the same. I thought that was so fucking lame. But the second thing that also really bothered me was corpse generation. Like Diablo 4, I don't know. I feel like the community's given so many good ideas over the years because, corpse generation in Diablo 3 is a problem. And what you ended up doing in most builds was, a bunch of cooldown and Land of the Dead, which was stupid. Mm-hmm. Like Land of the Dead was a dumb skill.
Infinite no corpse. Yeah. Right.
And so their solution is just to have a corpse fly out of the bad guy when you hit them. I think that's just it's so lazy. What
is that skill on?
It's on the core, so it says lucky hit. Your damage has a 4% chance to create a corpse at the target's location. Is doubled against bosses. So fully spec, you 25% chance to get a corpse when you hit a boss.
That's lame.
It's so lame.
What are some of the good suggestions that you like? Yeah, so the minions can do it, and also Decompose had it too if you channeled.
Yeah, if you channel it, or 2.5 seconds. Yeah.
Yep. And legendaries would actually make you have more as well. I tried those out as well, and it was.
It's just that's such a lame thing.
I'm wasting legendary spots to just make corpses to heal my minions, basically, because Shava would one shot them if I didn't heal them. Yep. So.
But yeah,
what do you have some ideas for corpse generation? I haven't read Community, so do you know of any?
My favorite one, because it's my idea, was a corpse golem. So the idea is that you're, like any Diablo 3 golem or Diablo 4 golem, actually, is they have an active skill, right? And so the active skill would be like, hey, all these corpses on the ground, make a golem. And so the golem would kind of form, picking up all these corpses. And then the corpse golem comes with you. So it's basically on-demand corpses that you have when you want.
Yeah, it's like a backpack of, you're picking up corpses and carrying them.
Exactly. Yeah. So... And maybe it's a stack of 30, maybe it's a stack of 50. That's something that.
So you have a stat counter. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And the cool thing about what I was doing in dungeons, because I was trying to farm Butcher. So what I was doing is I was not consuming as many corpses as I didn't have to. That way, if I fought Butcher, I could backtrack to my corpses.
But the corpses also go away after a while in D4, which I hated.
Yeah. I didn't notice that very much, so the timer must have been enough where I wasn't backtracking that hard. But when I did get to them, I was like, okay, I fought them for a little bit, and then I backtracked to where my corpses were to have another supply. So I do like the idea of being able to stack corpses in your golem. And then if your golem's out running around, and let's say he stacks to 30, right? And you use 20 corpses on Butcher or something. As you're running around killing shit, it's just picking the corpses up, it's consuming them to refresh them. You don't have to micromanage it. It's like your minion picking up gold in D3.
Yeah.
So that'd be cool. I like that idea too.
Yeah. I just think
have you ever told us the devs?
Of course.
I'm joking.
Someone in chat just said the golem could shed a corpse. Again, that's a reused legendary effect from Diablo 3, which is so lame. But I think
it's just one, I believe, too. Right?
Yeah, and this whole idea of shedding corpses from nothing is I don't know. It's so stupid to me, but it's better than nothing. It's better than having, a Land of the Dead be on some 90-second cooldown, but at the same time,
that's what I ended up doing on a Shava was I was just channeling Decompose, and every 2.5 seconds I would heal my pets because she was giving them the business. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And it's okay, corpse is out, great. And the problem also was a Shava was so big that when she shed a corpse, you couldn't really even see it anyways. So I'm just spamming the heal my pets button, trying to keep them alive. And if they died, of course, I got a new pet, which is cool too. But it's just it wasn't fun, man. Like a Shava on the sorcerer was fun. A Shava on the rogue was fun. A Shava on the necro and the barb wasn't fun to me. I was like, this sucks. So
I also felt like Necro just needed some if sacrifice bonuses don't really get buffed, then I think Necro deserves a flat damage bonus on the tree if you don't have minions. Just period.
Yeah.
Because I don't think and I don't want every single Necro out there to have to run minions. Like I get that Necro is the minion class, but that's thematically, historically, there are many, many ways you can play Necro without minions. And that's what's always drawn me to the Necro. So forcing everyone to
I
minions
personally
is awful.
loved the minions concept. I agree with you 100% that you shouldn't have to. I personally wanted it to be a minion class, or at least have a play style that was a minion class where they didn't disappear. So I was super happy in that. I thought it was out of the gate getting skeleton, like out of the gate, level 0, having it just was kind of crazy. But I liked it, man. I thought it was a good time.
It honestly reminded me like of Diablo 2, like when you first started playing Diablo 4, because it was like, yeah, minions are good, and like you want to invest more in minions. Obviously, you can't put more skill points into minions, but it was cool.
That was something too, because like you were limited. I hope that, and I know that there's like I had +2 minions, +2 warrior or +3 warrior +2 mage or something, some sort of combination to get more. I want more than that though. I want more than 10 or 11.
Maybe you do get some minor. I don't know.
Give me 20. You know what I mean? I want to just dump points into having more minions on the screen. So I think that would be a good time.
Also, the minions looked like shit to me, but
they were a little cartoony looking to
me. They were Diablo 3 minions.
They had that D3 vibe of
they
like
were
glowing
actually
blue.
Diablo 3 minions, like to a T.
Wait, they were the same model for real?
I even did, like if you look at my YouTube video on it, we did a whole breakdown. It's the exact same model.
They looked very Diablo 3ish. That's what I said too. They looked Diablo 3. They looked Super Saiyan skeletons or something. They were like blue and glowy, and they didn't have that same. They didn't fit aesthetically with the rest of the game.
Not at all.
So, and I thought the golem didn't look that cool personally, but I said they could sell golem skins that made it look different, and that's probably going to be a store transaction because there's so many cool ways that they could shape the golem.
Yeah, so. And it should be fucking gross looking.
Yeah,
because this is Diablo 4, and this is like this R-rated game, and there's blood and guts everywhere, and then like the minions were cartoons like from Diablo 3, and the golem was just like kind of like meh. I don't know. I definitely expected all the skills to feel more dark, and they all kind of felt like Diablo 3-ish.
I've seen a bunch of Reddit posts and people talking about it, like Quinn was talking about it, about how they doubled down on the guts and blood, but then they were scared to show any nudity. You know what I mean? And it's like, I don't care. Like, I could care less if Diablo 3 had nudity. That's not why I'm playing the game. But I do think that it is kind of crazy how it's such a taboo topic. You know what I mean? Like, oh, we can cut this guy in half and have his guts split all over the floor, but that chained up lady over in the corner in the torture device, like she's got a bandage around her boobs, you know? So and I've seen a lot of comments on that, so I'm like, I guess
it does seem like a weird line to draw. Fit. But I definitely don't want to like go around seeing a bunch of dicks in a video game. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't like to say, I don't really want to see it either. And I get that it's probably going to have a broader audience for kids. Maybe that's a console drawback too. Because I could totally see Sony and Xbox being like, no, dude, you can't have a tackle box in the game. You know, like you gotta do something else to it. But,
I don't know.
M
for mature. That's kind of it. It's kind of it for the Diabolas.
I did get confirmation. You guys can all thank me. I got scroll wheel keybind added back to the game. It will be there on launch. Thank you. Yeah.
For those people that want it.
I don't care about anybody else. I got it back for me. I did that for me. I'm happy.
In the greatest news story of our time, Path of Exile Crucible.
Crucible. All right. So is this the part where I drop in for a little while? Is what's going on here?
I mean, if you want, but this is gonna be juicy.
Okay, hold on. Let me get some coffee so I stay up.
So yeah, the announcement was today, and they did the whole stream, and that's always, honestly, I think I would love to see, Diablo adapt this format, hopefully in Diablo 4, where they do this like big stream and they announce stuff, and obviously they'll have me on to interview.
You gotta have the content.
Gotta have the content. Absolutely right. But yeah, it's always an exciting time. So this particular season, it is, we talk about this time and time again. It is like a click and kill mechanic, which historically I'm not crazy about. But this one looks pretty cool. So you click these forges, these like ancient spirits were once in Ray class, and they can basically give your weapon a skill tree. So you click the thing, and depending on how long you hold the crucible,
you have to put your weapon in the thing to get it.
So when you walk up to it, it'll examine the weapons you have on.
Okay.
And it'll do it from one of those. So if you can swap weapons in PoE. So the stuff that's like, I don't want to use this right now, but you can put it in your like offhands. So you can have like two things.
Okay. Yeah. So it's based on the archetype, is it tied to that weapon? So let's say you replace your weapon later on. If it's the same archetype of weapon, will it keep the skill tree, or is it a new one? It's kind of where I'm going. Or is that
that's
skill
a good
tree
question,
tied
because
to that weapon?
Seems like there probably will be a chance for uncommon things, but I think most of it will be associated with the weapon. So like claw stuff will be like maybe poison and attack speed focus, and maybe wands would be like minions or whatever, stuff like that. But I still think that there's going to be like a small chance they could roll stuff that's like not meant for it at all.
Chat's saying each weapon has its own tree, so that's pretty cool.
Each weapon has its own tree.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah, which is BS. And then, so as you like continue to touch these pylons, you get more XP for these, skill trees per the weapon. And eventually you can go into like the zones. If you like get these rare shards, they'll take you into the zone, and then you can like basically fuse two together. And I thought they had a screenshot of it, but maybe not. Oh yeah, right here. So you get to the Forge of the Titans, and then say you had two weapons. You're like, man, I like these skills from this one, I like these skills from this one, and you can fuse them together for a chance to like make one weapon that has exactly the things you want. Or it could totally break it and make it
you know why I like that? It's because it's not a kill thing. Like you go in and meet the Titans and they're nice to you. It's not like go in and kill the boss and the boss does it. It's like you go in to meet the Titans and they're like, yo, what's up, man? Like, here, let me help you out.
Yeah. So the cool thing is if you had like two things and you maybe didn't level them, you could still try to fuse them together and get what you want. But the other thing is if you had a weapon that you had actually spent time in picking all the things you want, you'll have a greater chance of fusing and getting the things that you picked on that weapon. So if you put two weapons in and you completely spec them out, you'll have a greater chance of getting the things that you want when you fuse them. Versus if they're both just blank, you just like get a total RNG fuse. But it can still like totally brick either way. But I did like that you could like spend time to get better RNG.
If it doesn't brick in PoE, it's not their design.
Right.
So you have to have a chance.
Everything is a total complete gamble in Path of Exile. That is their MO. But I do like the system. I think that this could add a lot of value and playability to the seasons. And I think there were a lot of nerfs across the board, kind of hidden. But I think that this will probably more than make up for it. But we'll see. I mean, I'm super excited to test this stuff personally. And then there is obviously big reworks to the Atlas skill tree, which usually happens like almost every patch. But now there's gateways, which I originally read this as gateways in the skill tree. So I was like pogging out for a second. So there's basically like a gateway that will take you to a whole different section of the tree instead of like pathing the whole way and wasting all those points to get to the stuff you want. Yeah. You can just click this one node and like teleport you to a different spot in the tree. And I originally thought this was a skill tree. So I was like, poggies. You could start on the assassin side and then like click, and you're all of a sudden on like the Marauder side. That's huge. But I guess that would have made Ascendant like totally worthless. But anyways, it's still cool like to be able to spec for the stuff that you really want. And then to go with that, they completely overhauled Breach and Abyss to just be better, because like those were kind of dated mechanics, but still always kind of fun to run. But like it wasn't necessarily worth your time unless you completely spec'd out the Atlas skill tree for it. And even then they weren't that crazy good, but now they're going to be crazy good. And especially this league, because like they completely overhauled the Abyss uniques. They completely overhauled the Breach uniques, and some of them are like seemingly pretty strong on paper. Like to get a whole set of the Abyss stuff, like it might be a really good season to go like Elemental and not Poison, which would be sad for me. But man, they look really good. They reworked the Saboteur to not only be like the trap guy, but he now is like a cock guy. Like maybe probably cast on crit.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
What?
Cast on crit, obviously. What'd you think I meant?
He has a
no, but he gets these like little bots
COC, huh?
that follow him around that trigger. They're called trigger bots. So anytime he casts a like triggered spell, the bots will also cast a trigger spell at their location, and you get like double of them, which is just seemingly pretty nutty. Excited to see what kind of builds come from that. And then they reworked Pathfinder as well, and this one's kind of like weird, especially someone that comes from like a poison background. I thought that this was I think the only reason they did this because it was sort of locked to attacked poison before, and now it can just be spell poison as well. But yeah, some reworks that we could dive into, but it's not really worth spending that much time on. More Val skills. They're adding more abilities to Val skills. I do like the Val Reap. I think that sounds pretty sexy. I might be interested in that. New uniques. This one, the helmet that you touched on in the thing was the helmet would have a skill tree, which is unique to helmets because it's usually only weapons with this particular patch. But some of the uniques seem all right. And then this one was crazy to me. Ruthless. So the race is in Ruthless mode. So if you guys didn't know, like they added this new tier of difficulty in Path of Exile called Ruthless. All right, there's hardcore SSF before, which was really tough, really challenging. And there's uber bosses, in Path of Exile now. So it's like to kill some of that stuff, it's pretty crazy. But on top of that, they added another tier of difficulty called Ruthless, which is just brutal. And they made the race kill the uber bosses, the pinnacle uber bosses inside of Ruthless.
Inside of Ruthless,
which I don't even know. Yeah. Right. Which I don't even know. Like, I'm pretty sure it's been done, but like, can it really actually be done before July? Like, because you're supposed to win tickets to ExileCon.
Yeah.
Which is just
so you think it'll take them 6 months to do it? No, they'll do it in the first
3
weekend,
months.
Dude.
It's only 3-4 months away. ExileCon.
They'll do it in the first weekend.
No way. No fucking shot. It'll take a while, I think. But it looks good, man. I haven't got to play Path of Exile in like 3 leagues, so I feel like coming back now is going to be just pure disco. I was a little sad to see in the patch notes that Poison got nerfed. I guess, I don't know, something was overperforming Poison-wise, so there's some small duration nerfs to Poison Sag, which is, what I like to play. But yeah, Elemental seems like it'd be the way to go with all the Breach and Abyss stuff getting buffed. Looks like it's going to be pretty sexy. The skill trees, oh my god, like, and also because I was going to be like, well, maybe I'll level Poison and I'll start with Poison's Concoction. But Poison's Concoction, you can't run a weapon. So it's like you wouldn't even get to play around with the Crucible.
The new mechanic.
Yeah, while you level. So it's just like, I now don't even know what I'm going to level with. So it looks good.
Decisions. Their trailers are good. Their hype's good. I don't even play the game, and I still watch the trailers for most league announcements. And I'm still jealous by it. Like they have so much content, seemingly. And we talk all the time that we want D4 to have this level of content. Of course. And it's like after the beta, like there's no way that when they do a season announcement or a major, like on a 4-month cadence, 3-month cadence, there's no way they're going to get this level of content. I just, if they do, I will completely lose my mind. But I really feel like the seasons in D4 are going to be pretty D3-ish.
I hope not, but
that's, you know,
yeah,
I'm not getting my hopes up because I'll just be let down even more, you know.
So. Yeah, so this starts next Friday. I'm pretty excited again overall. I will say that I did maybe expect a little bit more. I kind of expected it to be like new Pinnacle boss. I do kind of see this as, I don't know, maybe one of PoE's last leagues. You know, there was the interesting part, because I know you're super interested in the Path of Exile too. When Ziz first started his interview with Chris Wilson, he was kind of like, well, this will be one of the last Path of Exile 1 leagues. And Chris was like, no, we'll have, I don't know if he said we'll have one more, but he said, well, we're going to have one at ExileCon, because ExileCon will be all about Path of Exile 2, but we're also launching the Path of Exile expansion during ExileCon. But they kind of made it seem like that would be the last one. So like that we would maybe only have this.
They don't call these expansions, do they?
Yeah, they call them all expansions.
All these leagues are an expansion? Oh, okay.
Because, I mean, they fucking are. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I just didn't realize that they referred to them. I always heard them called leagues, not expansions, or at least that's the way it came off. If they said expansion, and I know, but I didn't ever really hear the expansion terminology. Maybe I just wasn't listening for it. So, yeah. So you think that they're timelining a release of 6 months from now, then, right?
Yeah.
Because if this one lasts 3 months and then there's one more, we're talking about
like a September-ish,
which is a big time to launch games. A lot of games launch in the September-ish timeframe. They hit that, they get off the ground, and then they hit that full stride right at the holiday season.
No. So. I absolutely hate D4 coming out in June.
Middle of summer.
Yeah. Like,
no traveling, huh? No travel fluff?
Well, I don't usually travel that much in the summertime here, because like it's like the only months that are enjoyable in Kansas City are sort of like June through like early August, or maybe May to August.
It's super hot.
No, June is not hot. June is like perfect. May and June are like really nice, and then August it's like, fuck my life, it's hot.
Yeah,
but yeah, I like games that come out during the winter, because it's like, well, I'll avoid the seasonal depression by staying inside playing my favorite game. I want to go outside during the summertime. So, but anyways,
what do you? One thing.
Okay.
That even though I put it in the notes, we were talking earlier about farm and dungeons. So I'm gonna jump back to D4.
Okay.
We're talking about farm and dungeons.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pull up some personally. Huh?
I'm gonna pull up some gameplay of the dungeons. Go ahead.
Personally, I feel like the dungeon system that they're creating is going to open itself up to singular dungeon farming, a specific dungeon. Well, I'm telling you now, this is how it's going to happen. People are going to find the dungeon that they can farm the fastest and go reset, to farm the fastest and go reset. And since the dungeons are static, there's going to be a single dungeon, maybe a couple, but probably one or two, that will be the dungeon that you're going to go farm over and over and over and over and over.
They've kind of alluded to that it can't and won't work like that because of how nightmare keys work. So you're not going to just be able to, like, you won't just have enough currency to farm one nightmare key over and over and over. Like, you're going to have like different ones.
I don't remember the details. I think that there are ways to manipulate that system from what I've been told, but that might be getting deeper into conversations that I can't have yet. If that makes sense.
Sure.
So, I just think I don't know, man. I don't see how in a system where you have static dungeons with random drops, unless dungeons are tied specifically to specific pieces of loot, which would then make you farm that dungeon. I just don't see how there won't be meta dungeons to farm.
I think that there would definitely be dungeons that would be in your best interest to farm, especially if you don't have keys. But just based on what they've said, they seem to be indicating that like that's just not going to be a thing. Like you're not going to be able to craft like 100 keys and they're going to be the same dungeon. Like you're just going to get random places that you have to go farm.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how the system ends up working. That's all I wanted to say.
Right. Sure.
I'm super hope I'm not right too. I just feel I have this feeling that that's going to end up being what's going to happen, and man, that would be horrible. I think if that does become a thing, I don't think that's what they want, and it will either change before release or change quickly after release. However, they force us to get out and do more things. But yeah, anyway, that's it.
I could definitely see, to add to your point, before you're nightmare ready, I could definitely see, and you know, because we got buff drop rates right in the beta, so I could definitely see you running the same dungeon over and over and over and over and over until you're nightmare ready. And I could, and that we don't really know how long that's going to take. It could take a really long time. It could just take a matter of days. But I could definitely see a scenario where you're just like, well,
I mean, but think about even if you did it for 4 or 5 hours, like that's.
I mean, I did over the weekend. I farmed this one dungeon.
Like, and how fucking bored were you? How bored were you?
I was pretty bored.
Yeah,
again, too, because like the Necro wasn't very fun.
That's the thing. Yeah. That's the thing that's the point that I try to make to everybody is I get it was the beta and I get we had limited content. I stopped playing Saturday night because I was bored with what I had to do. And it's like, what did I have to do? I had dungeons to do. Dungeons are like the biggest part of the end game. And I'm already like, well, I'm bored with this. You think adding a modifier and making it like the dungeons are now resistant to cold damage, like you think that's going to make the dungeon more fun? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I don't know what these modifiers are going to do. I meant to go look at you could craft some of the nightmare keys or whatever they're called. And I meant to go look at them before, but I ended up getting distracted and didn't do it. Did you?
The recipe was there, but you couldn't craft anything. You didn't have any.
But so you couldn't see what it actually did?
No.
Okay. That's what I wanted to go look at. But it's like, man, I don't know. That's
I don't know. I guess we'll see. I mean, it kind of seems like it's like the Rift system, but it seems more like the mapping system in Path of Exile, where you sort of just craft mods and it's like, well, I can't run that one. I can sell it or whatever. But
we'll see. We'll see how it ends up playing out. The skills already are a big sore point to me personally, and then the end game. I just don't. We haven't had any announcements of more end game, and what we've seen, I don't think they have any end game to announce to us because it would have been leaked by now. I think it's what we have, and I'm super scared because I was already bored on the first beta weekend running dungeons. Man, I literally was like, I could go run this dungeon, and I'm like, fuck, man, I'm just gonna play another game. I literally had the choice to play and go run a dungeon or play something else, and I chose something else. And I hate that. That makes me so sad because it's like this is supposed to be my game. This is supposed to be the game. It's the beta. I get it. So maybe when we get to end game, it'll be a different feeling but I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. I could easily see a point in season 0 where I walk away because I'd be like, well, there's nothing else to do. So
yeah,
I could 100% see that easily.
Yep. Unless PvP is a savior, because I can tell, like, I still play classic WoW like a madman. What do I do outside of raids? I go play battlegrounds. I do arena, and I really enjoy it. PvP is a unique experience every game. Every game is a different feel. Arenas, it's competitive, it's fun. You can learn, you can get better, but there's rewards to it too. You also get PvP gear. With no PvP gear in Diablo 4. And it's just cosmetic. I don't know if the incentive will be there as much, but if PvP's fun, then that end game could keep me playing forever. So I don't know.
Yeah, if PvP is like a focus, I could definitely see me getting pretty bored because I don't really play these games for PvP. Like I would just play a shooter. I'm not really into
But I agree with that. In my mind, in my mindset, I don't see how Diablo's PvP could ever be better than a shooter, or even so than World of Warcraft's, right?
Right.
I just don't think
that's boring as fuck. Diablo.
Yeah, and I love it, but I don't think the ARPG framework, just on how the game functions and the zoomed in camera and I just don't think it works as good as a shooter or as WoW's does. But we'll see. We'll see what it happens.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay.
Let's you got some hates? You got some loves? I got some loves and I got some hates.
Oh man, so many. I never have any ready to go, but I know I have like 1,000.
Okay, I'll go first. I'll let you think about it.
Okay.
I'm going to talk about a couple things. I don't know if I brought this up in the prior two podcasts. It's been so long since we did one prior to Last of Us, the TV show. Did I talk about that before or not?
I don't think so.
I don't know. Last of Us, the TV show was HBO series was phenomenal. Like I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was amazing. I think it's the best show HBO's produced outside of maybe the first couple seasons of Game of Thrones. Like it was stellar to me. I played the Last of Us game. I got it with my PS4 purchase as like a digital gift. So I played the first remake of it. Fantastic game. It was at the time when I played it, I probably would have put it in my top 10, maybe top 5. Now, after playing other games, it's probably been bumped out, but it's a very good game. That game came out on PC Tuesday, 2 days ago. It was delayed for 4 to 6 weeks before that. They delayed it once, at least, maybe more. So it came out Tuesday. I picked it up, even though I own it on PlayStation. They made another remake for PS5 and juiced it up even more. And they ported the PS5 version to PC. So it's, even juicier, and I'm like unlimited frames. I'll have mods, etc., etc. Install the game Tuesday. I fire it up. The game has to build shaders. If you guys don't know how shaders work, I'll give you every piece of hardware is different. Your combination of hardware. The shaders are based on the hardware you have. For consoles, they can pre-render it because every console is the same. For PC hardware, doesn't work that way. You need to compile the shaders. A lot of people don't understand that shaders are based off of your specific hardware. That's cool. Most games compile the shaders in the background pretty quickly. It took 35 minutes to compile the shaders. Okay. And apparently my PC was pretty fast at it because I've had other people say it was hours. But I sat there at the start screen and let it compile shaders for 35 minutes. I'm like, okay, cool. I launched the game. I'm playing for like 45 seconds. Crashes. I'm like, what the hell? I go back in. I start to set keybinds. It crashes. I load it back up. I'm like, okay, I'll set the keybinds in the options menu from the main screen. That works. I go into the game. I start playing. The game says it's running at like 90 to 100 FPS, but it's hitching so bad it feels like 30. Like when you spin the camera, it's just like choppy. And I'm just like, this is on a 3090. Like this is a nice rig. And I'm like, if I can't run the game, why were they selling it? So the game crashed like every 15 to 20 minutes. That's fine. Day one, whatever. Wake up the next morning. There's a patch. Oh, cool. Day one patch. Boom. Put the patch on. It's going to fix stuff, right? Mm-hmm. Nothing changed. Crashing every 20 minutes, frame hitching like mad. I'm like, this sucks, man. So day 2 patch. Okay, cool. This is going to fix it. I put the day 2 patch on. Same shit. It's, man, I don't know who ported the game, but it is absolute garbage. This is the worst port I've ever seen for a phenomenal game. Great game with all the hype from the movie, or the show. So yeah, feels bad. If you guys haven't played the game and you're interested, absolutely phenomenal game, but wait, don't buy it on PC right now. Like just either pick it up on PS5 or wait a couple months until they get the patching done. So horrible. And then so that's a love hates. Love the TV series. If you haven't seen it, 100% endorse. Go watch it right now. My wife and I tried to watch the movie Cocaine Bear. Have you seen the previews for this movie?
I have seen the previews.
This was the worst fucking movie.
No shit.
I have ever seen. Like, I kind of thought maybe there'd be some funny in it. This was the worst. I left. I literally didn't even watch the movie. I was like, this sucks. I waited 45 minutes. I gave it 45 minutes. I was like, this movie sucks so bad. I never leave movies, man. Like, I never am like, this is a waste of my life. I'm out. It was that bad. So yeah, don't go see Cocaine Bear.
Yeah, I'm not surprised at all by that.
I mean, I thought there could have been some funny stuff in it, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. I do love movies based on true story, but they obviously took all that and made it fiction. The only thing that was true was that there's like a bear that did some coke.
Did cocaine.
Gosh, Fluff hates. I mean, just like reusing skills. I mean, no, we already talked about that in this podcast, but
if you don't have one, I can move along.
No, I mean, God, there's so many things I could just pick from. Oh, I had like, obviously with Diablo 4, we're probably going to get a bunch of new members coming into our communities, and that's great.
Mm-hmm.
But I had a guy come in over the weekend so I was playing Diablo 4 for it was 12 hours at this point, and I put my AF screen up. I went downstairs. I heated up some leftovers. I came back up. I put on YouTube videos for maybe 6-7 minutes. I was just watching while I ate. Yeah. This guy comes in. He's like, "Hey, where's the gameplay?" Which is normal, right? He's like, "Oh, I'm just eating. I'm eating real quick, and then we'll get back at it." And he's just like, "Well, you need to put your title as just chatting while you do that. It's according to Twitch guidelines." I'm like, "Listen, dude. I've been playing this game for 12 hours. I took a break for 5 minutes. We're just eating, watching YouTube videos. Let's chill out. We'll be back at it in just a minute."
See, you handled that completely wrong.
Oh, I'm not done yet.
Okay. You know how that would? Here's how that would have gone for me. "Hey, you should have put your title as just chatting." "Oh, thanks for the advice, ban." Sure. Done. That would have been it. That would have been the end of the conversation.
I was like, "I'll be back at it in a second." He's like, "Well, according to Twitch guidelines, you need to change it to just chatting." I'm like, again, you'll be all right. We'll be back at it in just a minute. He's just like, "And you know what? While I'm at it, no one in this chat's talking right now. So you're clearly view botting, and I'm reporting you for not only gaming in the wrong category, but also you're obviously view botting." It's just like, dude, just calm the fuck down. For 5 minutes, I'll be in this just chatting screen with watching a YouTube video. We'll get back at it. Just chill out. So eventually I did. I didn't ban him, but I was tying him out for 24 hours. It's like, dude, just calm down. Chill.
That's so funny. I mean, obviously you are though. So I just whatever.
Totally.
It's fine.
Beep boop boop.
Cool. Beep boop boop boop. Oh man, let's go to some Twitter questions.
Do it.
The first question comes from Hellbound. Hellbound said, "Considering the scaled..." Oh, hold on. I forgot something. If you guys want to submit questions to the podcast, you can tweet them to @ThaPChild or @board__fluffy. You can drop them in our Ask the New Meta sections. Each of us have a section in our own Discord. Do you still have links to the Discords? Maybe?
Yeah.
I don't know. Be cool if we could
and
throw
the
those
YouTube
in.
things.
Yeah, all the things. And then so you can hit us up there. That's a good place to ask your questions. The first question comes from Hellbound. Hellbound said, "Considering the scaled size of D4 skill tree, do you think there's potentially a bunch of branches and or skill runes that they're not showing in the beta? Suggesting maybe the beta is more of a player server test as opposed to an overall game test."
I feel like no.
I feel like no as well.
Which is
I feel like
scary.
That was my first impression, and I was very optimistic that was the case. But the more I played the game, the more convinced I was that this is really all of it. I think there's a lot of room for expansion. Potentially, seasons could have new skills like POE does. POE's got this new league coming, and they have new skills coming with it. Could Diablo 4 do something like that? God, I hope so. because they need new skills. They need better skills than what they have now. But no, I think what we saw is what we're going to get. We might get some changes and some tweaks based on feedback. Like, don't get me, I hope the majority of the feedback is like, your skills are kind of uninspiring, right? And maybe with that feedback, they can go fix a couple of the skills or redesign them somehow. But with 2 months left, I wouldn't expect much of that. So I think what we got is what we're going to get.
Yeah, I agree. I mean,
any additions?
I don't have anything to add to that. I think that hopefully they've set themselves up so they can do that fairly easily. Like, hopefully the skill tree that they have in the game right now allows them to sort of shift stuff around without having to create like all new assets just to fit new skills in. So hopefully it's something they've actively thought about.
Yeah, that's a huge point, I think, is hopefully they set their tools up for game development in a way and created the game in a more modular or flexible way where they can add and manipulate the game without it being this monumentous task that's just impossible, right? I really hope that they can throw new skills in and change assets relatively quickly and balance things. But the Maester Magus says, is Necro overtuned, or do other classes except Sorcerer need to be brought up to its level?
Fuck, man. It's probably overtuned. I would say, I don't know. Here's the thing. I think in the original vanilla launch of Diablo 4, I would actually like to see all classes performing like Druid and Barb were. Like, just kind of shit. And you're like really struggling for a while. I didn't like the Sorcerer running around one-shotting. I didn't like the Necro kind of cakewalking through everything. So I would say they need to be brought down maybe for leveling.
That being said,
the season 1, if nothing changes, it's like, man, I got to do this boring ass shit again, and it's just grueling. Yeah, it would suck.
That being said, even again for me is the difficulty. I think that the difficulty scale needs to be there for non-ARPG players to jump into a game. Diablo isn't PoE. It's not the game. You're not going to get some random casual off the street to go play PoE. It's just not probably going to happen. But Diablo is a big enough IP with a big enough name and backing, and it's been around so long as the OG original ARPG, right? That people have heard of it, and they probably will play Diablo even though they have no interest in ARPGs. And so you got to give the younger audience and the inexperienced audience a really easy difficulty. And I'm okay with that. Like the normal tier 1, world tier 1, whatever they called it, can be stupid easy for people like that, right? Just let us turn it up. Like why are you limiting? Like, I understand that they want to limit the experience gain in carrying buddies, perhaps, for like Diablo 3, for example, like they cap you at tier 6 when you're power leveling. Just let us go up to where it's impossible to kill stuff and we get mauled down. You know, like let us adjust that level. So that's my only caveat is I do want to have to crawl around slow, but you can also use the difficulty slider to adjust the pace at which you're killing things too. So, and be rewarded for that. Like if you're a good player and you can play at world tier 3 or world tier 4, you're rewarded with extra experience. That's cool because you've played. A brand new player shouldn't jump in world tier 2 or world tier 3. They just shouldn't. They should get their ass kicked. So, I don't know. As far as the nerf, I don't know, man. It's hard to say because we got legendaries, right? The legendary drop rate was churned up, so we had way more power than we're gonna have. Maybe Necro and Source need to be brought down a little, and Druid and Barb need to be brought up just a little. Just kind of find that middle ground, kind of use that as a balance point, perhaps. But honestly, I don't really care about leveling metas. If a Necro levels a couple hours faster than a Barb, or even, whatever, who cares? At max level, that's when I care about balance, right?
Yeah.
If they're going to spend time balancing, don't spend it on leveling. Like high level balancing, boom, done. the intricate detail balancing at 100 is super, super, super important to me. If a barb is shitting on Necro at level 100 horribly, that sucks.
Yeah. And I will say to that effect, I've heard through the grapevines, I did not participate in any other betas besides these 2 last weekends. But I have heard through the grapevines that they did do the end game beta that Necro was actually the worst performing.
Yep.
So,
yep.
I mean, even if they level really fast, if they suck in the end game, like, was it all matter? I wouldn't even care. Like, if I was leveling a Druid or Barb and it's just like crazy OP in the end game, like, that's all I'm thinking about as I'm leveling. It's like, well, this might be really tough, but like, I'm going to get there and it's going to be better. But if I'm like leveling a Necro, it's like, wow, this is the easy thing in the world, but I know at the end game, I'm really going to struggle. That's sad.
Yeah, there's you would always pick Barb 100% if you knew that was the thing. Yeah, I hope there's a lot of balance there. And again, hopefully they built the game in a way where they can tweak those numbers really quickly. Like, I don't want to wait a whole season for a balance. Like, let's say Druid's underperforming by a significant margin for all of season 1 or 0, vanilla, whatever, season 0, whatever they're going to call this period. Then, like, let's get some feedback, put some tweaks in, like every week on a patch cycle on Tuesdays or whatever, right? Like, let's get some tweaks. Don't make us wait 3 months to get a balance patch, or 4 months or 6 months for a balance patch. That's something I hope they learn from Diablo 3, is like, let's get some faster tweaks in here. And then also, since there's not going to be leaderboards in the seasons, I feel like it removes the constraint for them not to change anything once the season launches. Because I think in D3 right now with leaderboards, you're like, well, I can't nerf it now because so-and-so already did, a 150 in 6 minutes. And if I nerf it, then that time will never get beaten. They don't have a competitive chance to challenge that. So I hope we get patches throughout the season if there's no competitive leaderboards. So
yeah.
Moon 900 says, are you surprised by D4 system requirements? Do you think other developers should learn from Blizzard?
No, I'm not. I think we expected it to look good and run at very low system requirements because it's supposed to be on console, guys. So, I would love for it not to be a console game and they could have ramped up even more, right? Like, so.
Yeah. So I'll say this. I think D4 is the most beautiful ARPG I've ever seen. That being said, I still think it falls short of current gen
tech
AAA titles.
Mm-hmm.
I think it could look better. If you go, let me think of something that's just nutty that I've played. I don't know. I'm trying to think of a AAA game that I've thrown on that looks phenomenal. I can't. It's okay. Elden Ring was okay. I don't know. I just really think if you compare it to other AAA games graphically, I don't think it's superior. I think it's maybe even slightly behind. But it's just the ARPG scene was decades behind. Like, they haven't kept up at all.
Right.
But it's a Blizzard game, man. Blizzard games run on potatoes, and I think that's very smart for them to do it that way because it doesn't exclude people based on hardware. And there's so many games that I've seen where hardware is the limiting factor of like, oh, I can't play that. I only have, I'm still running my RTX 770 or my RX 770, whatever. And it's like, yeah, you're on a 13-year-old graphics card. You can't play latest gen. So personally, I want more. I would always take more.
Yeah.
It still looks beautiful. I'm not knocking it. I just think like it could look better still. Sure. Even. So
agree.
Do other developers, could they learn from it though? I think that I'm like this Last of Us scenario has me kind of salty because it's crazy that a AAA title can launch in such a shitty state. I don't know, that it's just pure money grab. Either they had to know, like my system is light years above your average system. Like, it's not the best on the planet, but it's nowhere even close to average, right? It's on the high end tier. And if it runs like shit on my system, how are you going to release that as a PC game to the populace? Like, I'm probably in like the top 2 or 3% of PC users out there. So these developers that release games like this are just greedy. They're just cash grabbing, man. Like, they know it's not ready. The executives are like, you have a hard deadline. And people are like, okay, it's not ready, but that's fine. Here you go. You know? So super frustrating.
Yep.
At least Blizzard hasn't done that. Captain Bean says, after playing D4, graphically, the PoE reveal today felt last gen. Did you feel the same?
Graphically, sure. I mean, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
But again, I'm a content guy, man. Like, and that goes so far. Like, I wouldn't just go play like a old game because the content was really good. But content does matter to me more than the graphics.
Yeah. An example of that is Final Fantasy VII. Would you ever play it again, like the OG?
No.
Oh. Why?
Because it's old.
Doesn't it rank in your top games of all time?
That's the big difference for me. It's like, there's some great games out there that at the time they had great content, but like, I'm talking about, like, I'll go play like Path of Exile, right? So graphically it doesn't look very good, but it continues to get just crazy amounts of content, and so I go back to it. But I wouldn't just like go back to a game that graphically didn't look good if it was like freeze framed at that particular moment in time. Like, you know, Final Fantasy VII was a great game for its time. I'm not going to go back and play it. Like, I have no desire to go back and play it. Halo 1 was one of my favorite Halos. I'm not going to go back and play it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I agree with that to an extent. WoW Classic looks like ass by today's standards.
Yeah.
It looks horrible,
yeah.
Right? But to me, it looks fine. it looks fine. It looks completely... It almost looks good.
It's not even new content. I will never understand how you guys can do that.
But it's fun. And the content's releasing. Like, yeah, we played the content 10 years ago, but they're re-releasing it like it was released. It's fun to me. If you compare it to retail WoW, they've made a lot of progress and it looks a lot better. But even by today's standards, retail WoW still looks dated. It still is like cartoony and blocky and but so that, to me, graphically, that's not the defining factor. That's the icing on the cake. But it's not the juice. It's not the good parts of the meal. It's the content and the gameplay. The gameplay to me in WoW is so much fun, and that's why I go back to it. That's why Lost Ark, I think, was to me appealing, is because the gameplay was fun in it. To you, it's PoE's skill systems and skill trees and building and crafting is what appeals. So I get it. I think graphically, you know, if PoE looked like D4, would it make me play it? Probably not. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm sorry, what?
I said if PoE looked like D4, would it make me play it? And I said probably not. Like, I respect PoE for what it is, but for some reason it's just not my game. It's not the game that I want to play 24/7. Otherwise I would. Graphics aren't the reason I don't play PoE. I just, for some reason, I'm not hooked, and I can't put my finger on what exactly it is. But it's just not my thing, right?
You're crazy. You're actually crazy.
I totally understand that. But if PoE looked worse to you, would you still play? Let's say PoE went down to Diablo 2 resurrected graphics, which personally people loved, and it was a hell of a step up from D2 original. But it's still, like, even with the new graphics, it still looks dated. Like the way the characters animate, it still looks worse than PoE, in my opinion. If you went back to that, would you still play PoE if it looked like that?
Well, I'm an isometric ARPG Andy. So for me, it's
what if it looked like D2 original? Would you play it?
No. But, like, you know, if I probably wouldn't be an ARPG Andy if, like, the only options on the market were Diablo 3 and a PoE that looked like Diablo 2 original. Like, that would...
What would you play?
I don't know. I'd probably be playing shooters or something.
Yeah, graphics matter, but content outweighs it. And fun, to me, it's just the fun factor. Am I having fun playing the game? If yes, I play. If no, I don't. It's literally that simple. And I game hop all the time, man. Like, I'll play, you know, I picked up Valhalla. I played it for a couple days. It was fun. I had a good time. I put it on the shelf. Will I play it again? Probably. But, you know, I'm already off. I played Hogwarts Legacy. It was a great game. I had a lot of fun. I put, you know, probably 45 hours into it. I didn't finish it. It's right. I'm close. And it's like, yeah, I want to just to see the end of the story. But it's like once it's just I'm always just looking for that next fix because I guess there's like a void that's like I don't have that game. You know what I mean? That I just only want to play all the time. And I want Diablo 4 to be that. And it's kind of sad because I really don't think it's going to be able to.
Okay. So that's interesting because for me, I feel like personally, my gaming future is secure because Diablo 4 is going to come out and I feel like, at least vanilla we're going to play. We'll probably give it a hard month. I do see like a hard stop at some point in that game of like, okay, wow, this is it. I definitely see that happening in season 0. And I think season 1 will obviously determine the future of Diablo 4. But ultimately, in the back of my mind, I'm always thinking about Path of Exile 2 and how I genuinely feel that, Path of Exile 2 is just going to be like, it's probably going to be my main game for many, many years. We'll see.
Yeah.
But
yeah, and we'll have to see what comes out. Somebody asked in chat, and I'm going to go ahead and throw it. Usually I don't get questions live, but I think it's relevant. They said, what content that is missing in PoE that makes me not play it? And I don't think there's a single thing. I actually admire PoE quite a bit, and I give it praise all the time. As much as I don't play it, I don't think I ever downplay it or trash talk it because I feel it's a phenomenal game. I think it's mechanics that honestly don't draw me to PoE. I think mechanically, the way it feels when you run around and kill things on your character, and maybe it's the builds I'm playing, but I've played 3 leagues where I've gotten to some in-game content, right? I've done some, mapping and got to like tier level 13. I don't know what you guys call it when you're, doing 13 maps or whatever, which isn't, I know it's like pretty noobish, but still I've played a little bit. It never felt like it was like, dude, this is amazing. Like mechanically, it just didn't have that. It didn't have it. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? What I'm saying? Do you agree or do you disagree?
I know. Here's the thing: is I know that each time you've tried it, you've made it a little bit further.
Yeah.
And I know that if you were to continue on that trend, you would probably get to a point that you would enjoy it. I do think if you kept trying it, you would eventually find something that you thought that was really fun to play. But I think it is tough going into it, never really having a big grasp of what's going on because it's ever changing, and also never really going into it and thinking like, wow, this is like a really fun build to play. For me, honestly, it wasn't until like I'd really kind of discovered poison and damage over time builds, but when Venom Gyre came out is what really I just got like locked in the Path of Exile because like Venom Gyre was everything I wanted.
That was your skill. You found a skill that was like, this is my jam.
Yeah.
And I don't think I have that. You know what is funny is our personalities are different and what we enjoy in games is drastically different. I think that's a good reason. It's interesting dynamic for the podcast for one, but 2, I enjoyed Trade League. You hate Trade League, or at least you told me don't play Trade League. I honestly might have had more fun playing the market and trying to trade items than I did actually playing the game. There was a point in time where I set up PoE on my laptop so I could sit in bed when I was chilling with my wife. And I was literally just playing Trade League the whole time. I was trading, buying and selling. I was sitting there scanning. I would buy currency, chaos orbs, whatever it was at a lower value. And then I was flipping them and making profit. And I was like, okay, I get the value, but that would only last for so long. You know what I mean? After a point, I know, like, I just know me. And after a point, I would say, okay, that was cool for a couple weeks, but now that mini game's over. Now what? Right.
Yeah. I get that to an extent because like I generally like, if I play Trade League, I think the more you know about the game, the less enjoyable Trade League is, because I would play say like I started Trade League next Friday, right? Knowing what I know about like Venom Gyre, like I would, if I wanted to go in playing Venom Gyre, and if I wanted to go in something that I knew really well, that I know like in and out, like I'm going to go into it. I'm going to like get drops. I'm going to build currency like crazy. And honestly, within 3 days, I'm going to have something to kill Ubers. And I don't think that's very fun. I don't want to fly through the game at the speed of light and just hit end game instantly on a character. Like the draw to SSF is not only because it takes away the trade, which I do fucking hate. Because in Path of Exile, it's just gross how trade works.
They need to build. Listen, to double down on that, they need in-game trading and searching. Like using a website to do it is horrible. Awful. It's disgusting. PoE 2 has to get rid of that shit.
Probably won't.
They have to. They has to be in-game.
But I don't care because I'm an SSF Andy. And then I will be the same way in PoE 2. I need that because it slows everything down by a factor of like 12 to 15 because like I am ever so slowly upgrading in Path of Exile. And I think the way Path of Exile works, it just hands itself really fucking well to SSF, and it just makes the progression so much longer. And it's not progression in Path of Exile is fun, like, you know, fully juicing up an Atlas, getting all your Atlas skill tree points, preparing yourself for the boss fights and the pinnacle boss fights, and then eventually, hopefully, you're able to do like all the boss fights. And then if you keep ramping, you can now do Ubers and stuff, which I haven't even gotten to try. So, yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to this league, and I always look forward to Path of Exile every time.
Yeah, and I'm with you. I think we'll see when PoE 2 officially drops, and if they get some betas and stuff, there might be a point in time. The only issue that I'm going to have with PoE 2 is being a new player jumping into it. And I'll call myself a new player. I still think I'm hella new player. Maybe not as green as a brand new guy day one. But I think I'm going to be at such a huge disadvantage in PoE 2 going out of the gate. But what does it matter, though?
Yeah, it doesn't.
What does it matter? That's not necessarily a conversation that I'm having with me, but I'm expressing that to everybody listening, that when PoE 2 comes and you're going to have those feelings, because I have them too. I'm going to be like, man, I don't know shit about this game. I don't understand how this system works. What is that? I don't even understand how that system works. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Right? Like we're going to go in and you can learn it. You can pick it up. So I hope that PoE 2, whatever the it factor that PoE 1's missing to keep me sucked in, I really hope that PoE 2 has it. And I'm excited for it. I really am. Because I do think PoE is a fantastic game. So that's why I never shit talk it. Yeah. I give you a little crap when the patch notes come. I'm like,
sure.
You know.
Right.
But all in all, it is the best ARPG on the market, hands down.
I honestly think too, and we'll obviously revisit this in July when the ExileCon happens, but I honestly think that Path of Exile 2 is going to be so vastly different than PoE 1 that even us vets are going to go into it and be like, what? I think there's going to be so much that's different. I think there obviously will be things that lends itself a hand, like, skill links and like how all that works, and like what are good base types for the particular build you're playing, and the skill tree being, I think, similar. Obviously, all those things will combine and like we'll have an edge. Like I'll have an edge over like you, but ultimately, what does an edge really mean in Path of Exile? Nothing, because if you're not a racer, you're not competitive. It's like it doesn't fucking matter. Like you can spend all season to try to kill Act 1 boss. It doesn't fucking matter. I mean, it won't be fun to watch for viewers if you're spending the whole entire league killing Act 1, but yeah, I think that it's so great.
Yeah. I just noticed, do you have a new tat on your arm? What is this?
I have several new tattoos.
Oh man, what have you been doing? You've been hanging out with your brother too much, right?
And he has 0 tattoos.
Oh no, I'm talking about his
yeah, okay.
So,
all right.
yeah, All right,
calm down.
Next subject. Okay. So what are they? Any that you care to show, or are they
sure, I mean, I could show them off if you want.
What'd you get?
God, what? Okay, so the first one I got is this one. So I got this one on my forearm.
Okay. And what is it? It looks like words.
It's 3 coordinates.
Okay.
And these are the coordinates of where I've met the great loves of my life. So Aubrey, Kristen, Lindsay are their names.
Oh, you got Lindsay tatted on your arm after the breakup. Okay, I got you. Okay,
well, I got them all technically after the breakup.
Okay. I mean, listen, you cling to that.
These 3 women shaped who I am and helped become the man who I am. So I'm forever indebted to them in
Grateful.
some way. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm with you on that.
I got this on my forearm.
Okay. And this is what?
This
Get it closer to the cam. Give me close.
You're not gonna be able to read it.
There you go.
So this is a language called Tamil. It's one of the
Tamil?
2 written languages in Sri Lanka.
Okay.
And have you seen Limitless, the Chris Hemsworth series? Did you see the last?
Not the series. I saw the TV show.
The TV show. Did you see
the movie? I mean, sorry, I apologize. The movie.
Yeah,
right?
That's not Chris Hemsworth.
No, but there's
a TV show.
Same thing. Yeah. Okay.
No,
I know what it is. I haven't
thing
seen. Oh, different. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Got you.
It's called Limitless, and it's just like him, like testing his own body and learning a whole bunch about the human body and like dealing with. But the last episode is fucking phenomenal. Like it's so good and it's so trippy. I just love every minute of it. But it deals with getting older and it deals with death. And these are like the 2 things that I don't fear a lot in the world. I think I would obviously fear shark-infested waters as a non-strong swimmer. Like if I actually saw sharks and stuff like that. I don't like get into the ocean. I'm not like afraid of sharks. But if I saw like a bunch of sharks around me, like I'd be like, okay, this sucks.
Yeah.
But I still don't think I would be like, oh my God, I don't know.
Yeah.
But getting older is definitely a fear I have. And death, like obviously I want to live forever if I could. But in that last episode was all about that. And it's all about like sort of acceptance of death and all of that. And like, retraining your brain to not view death as sort of like a really sad thing or something that happens to life, but something that just happens in life, right? It's like all about acceptance. It's sort of a fascinating episode if you ever get a chance to watch it. But I was in Sri Lanka and I was on a safari, right? Just me and a guide, because Sri Lanka's tourism's dead because of the energy crisis. And there was this water buffalo. And he was all by himself. And he was limping. One leg was obviously broken. Very like malnourished looking, like just skin and bone. His horns were like drooping down. And I see him and like immediately it's kind of like that last episode. I'm filled with like, oh, this poor thing. And I'm like, oh, is it sick? Like what's wrong with the water buffalo? He's like, oh no, it's just old. Like in about 4 or 5 more days, his horns will fall off and he'll just die of old age. I'm just like, wow, okay. And then he's alone because the herd has sort of just left him alone because he just can't keep up, right? And it's just like a very normal thing in nature. And then, so this water buffalo like sort of like fell over and I think it was kind of having its last moments and it just like fucking locked eyes with me. Like for what felt like 30 minutes, but it was probably like 5 minutes, Mm-hmm. And in that moment, it was just sort of like, I wasn't high on drugs, just so we're clear. But in that moment, it was sort of like it's all good, man. Like I had like a great fucking life. This is just like normal. It's all good. And so this tattoo is Tamil. So it's one of the 2 written languages in Sri Lanka. And I got it like immediately after. And it's just kind of, it means to like exist fully or to like sort of live life fully, basically, is what it means.
Okay.
And then lastly,
in Sri Lanka?
I got it in Sri Lanka, yeah. And I got this one in Indonesia.
Okay.
My last tattoo, probably the douchiest of all tattoos, I have dude pink tattooed on my pinky.
Dude?
Yeah.
What is wrong with you?
Is just a joke between me and my best friend. So we can pinky swear dude. But it's a long story. Which is great. Right.
The other one was super deep. I'm like, oh, that's dope. And then you got dude on your pinky.
Oh, I love it, dude. It's so great.
Oh, man. Okay.
If you knew us, it would be hilarious, but you don't.
Is this a new best friend or old best friend?
Like, we've been best friends for like a couple of years.
Okay. Not the one that moved and left you, right?
Like growing up?
No, the one that was the neighbors and he moved and
left. Oh, no. I wouldn't even say he was a best friend. Yeah.
Okay.
That's a friend.
Just checking. All right. Huge derailing. But Coda says, could you last a month in a solitary room with absolutely nothing in it for $1 billion?
Easily.
Absolutely.
I do feel like I have a really good ability within my own brain to sort of entertain myself or to fill time and not be like, I don't know. Like I can
I
fly
don't think I would go insane either.
for like 25 hours, you know, and it's like there's kids screaming and stuff like that. But like, I don't know. I'm able to just like, this is only temporary. Everything's going to be fine.
Yeah. A month is nothing. I think if you changed it to a year,
Oh, yeah, that's tough.
that would be very difficult. I think a year would be very, very difficult. I don't know. $1 billion is like game changing. Like you're done. Like 1 year, you're sacrificing 1 year of your life. And for me personally, it'd be like 1 year of your kids and your wife and all that stuff too.
Yeah.
Which would be crazy. But the outcome would be you would have $1 billion. So
Right.
assuming nothing in it, I mean, assuming there's a bathroom in it, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not shitting on myself for a month, you know? But yeah, in food, obviously, too. So yeah, I think, yeah, I could do it for sure. Hex says, if you could remove one thing from the face of the earth, what would it be? He didn't specify. I guess it could be a person too.
Jesus. Who would say a person? That's toxic.
Jesus, you'd remove Jesus from the earth?
I mean, maybe does it say religious persecution?
Goodness, man.
No. Honestly, if it wouldn't impact anything, like negative, it would. It probably have very negative implications, like removing any species of animals or insects from the earth could have drastic, terrible implications. With mosquitoes, I would say mosquitoes.
Mosquitoes?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't remove a thing. Would be interesting. What would happen if you removed cell phones? If I just nixed cell phones right now, if I said, yeah, cell phones, mobile phones,
yeah,
didn't exist, what would happen to the world, man? No, there'd be no TikTok. There'd be no
be all on our
running around selfie sticking.
Oh, we'd still have cameras. You're not saying.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, but you'd have to carry a digital camera in your pocket.
Yeah, people still do that because it's better quality. Yeah.
Well, depends on what camera you got, but yeah, sure. Yeah, I don't know. I might say cell phones. I'm not the guy that like I don't keep my phone in my hand all the time. Matter of fact, 9 times out of 10, it's on silent and it's not even with me. So I don't check it super frequently. I don't watch stuff on it 24/7. But I think I'm like alone in the planet. Everybody else in the world, I feel, is just like glued to their cell phone. So I'll say cell phones.
Okay.
Scroop says, oh, this is an interesting one.
Okay.
Scroop says, did you see Quinn69's cancel thread on Twitter, and what did you think about it? I don't know if you have the questions pulled up, but there are links to the tweets. If you don't, I can DM them to you real quick. But if you pull the question document up, I put them in there for you. So I did see this actually, and I don't know if Fluff has seen them. When he sees it, maybe he'll remember. But I'm interested to hear his thoughts.
All three?
Yeah. So open they go in order of like 1, 2, 3. So we can open all 3 of them.
Okay.
And look at it.
The first one is the clown. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to show him?
Clown with the druid female?
Yeah, Quinn tweeted this, and it looks like somebody morphed his camera to make him look like a clown too. I think that's one of the things you can do in his stream.
Yeah.
So Quinn's, okay, so that's the tweet, and then pull up the second one.
Okay. I want to pull up. Weird.
That is weird.
Hate to see how many mutual follow such a person. Unfortunate that people enjoy games, enjoy character. Ass hat. Wait, what?
So there's literally somebody pissed off that Quinn posted this picture.
Let people enjoy games and enjoy character creation. Ass hat. I'm so confused.
Yeah. So it makes more sense later, but
okay.
I mean, actually, it doesn't make more sense later, but you'll understand the context. And then so Quinn responded to it.
Oh boy.
And it's
you ever hear parody? I was straight up clowning on myself. Honestly, overreaction was just too amusing to ignore. Oh God, Quinn. I make jokes about anything I see, but makes total sense that someone with such an inflated ego would cry over a game's character resemblance and would make it all about themselves. Seriously, drop some moral high ground, quit acting, or quit trying to passive aggressively cancel me and get a grip.
So there's more, and there's more to that. Quinn has like some stats about how the word clown has been in his stream like 350,000 times or something.
The face of clowns.
Yeah. So Scroops asked, did I see it? Yes, I saw it. I saw all of this go down live. Actually, I saw the original tweet and I was like, what? Like, clearly they had no idea who Quinn is or watched any of his streams.
Right.
But to me personally, don't make everything about you, man. That's kind of the way I feel about this. Like, he wasn't taking a jab at you. He wasn't taking a jab at women. He wasn't taking a jab at
I don't get this at all.
thicker people. Like,
she can't have possibly thought that the clown
if you look at her tweets, she has another tweet where she says, like, if you scroll down, I don't know if you can click on her link and pull her page up, but she has a thing where she says, Blizzard, thank you for making someone that in the game that looks like me or something, because the druid female resembled her body type. I'll just put it that way. You know what I mean? And so, I don't know, man. So I saw it, Scroop. I think personally, my standpoint is, it's out of context tweet. It feels like a little bit of cancel culture. Like, it's sad to see my friends following this guy. Like,
was his response to hers? This is not. Well, I'm so confused. I guess I'm not really understanding the context here. So
that he posted that picture.
That's it.
And then she posted her picture saying, way to make fun of the body type, I think is what she was referring to. Yeah. And then Quinn's
So because he put the clown head on a female, like, thicker person?
Yeah. Because she resembles that body type, and I guess
it had
she
nothing
thinks
to do
that he
with...
was exactly. Exactly. That's the point, right? Is she made it about her, and it's not about her at all. So
so she thought that he was making fun of female body types.
Yes. Like that thicker female body type, right? I don't know, man. Kind of crazy. It just, to me, what this screams cancel culture again, because it's like the whole, I can't believe my friends are following this guy. Like, it's pressure to like unfollow him, and he's not right, and he made it about you, and like, why do we got to cancel everybody? Why do, like, you couldn't just scroll past? Like, if you don't understand the context, either research it or move along. You know what I mean?
Chat's saying the girl posted it first, and then Quinn parodied her post. Because that changes context for sure.
I don't know. So my timeline, I saw Quinn's post, and then like a day later, I saw her post, and then later on, I saw Quinn's reply. So my timeline, it came in differently, but that's the female creation thing. I don't think Quinn was making fun of her. So personally, I don't know. I'm not sure, man. It just seems like it's so.
Even like Muggle Mama gets on and she's like, he's such an asshole. What did he do?
I don't know. Maybe there's context I don't have. But when you look at those three tweets, you look at his tweet, her tweet, and his response, I don't even see how they're connected. So, yeah, I don't know, man. I guess you could do it.
So yeah, Quinn's parroting her then. So yeah, that changes everything. So this is the original tweet where she says, she looks like me, she's built like me, I thank you. And then Quinn parodied her. He looks like me, he's built like me, thank you. But again,
okay,
I think on the surface it changes context. Like if you don't know Quinn.
Yeah. I didn't see her original tweet, I guess, that it was a parody of, but I don't get it, man. I don't understand. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean,
I still don't think it's even conversation worthy to me. I don't even understand why.
I think, yeah, honestly, I get it. I do kind of get it, because she's like having kind of an emotional moment because she feels represented and she's a bigger girl. Like, it was just great, you know.
Body type 3, thank you.
Um,
Oh, that's a bad joke.
I think that this is funny because it's Quinn and Quinn's a clown.
Yeah.
I think if he's gonna do this, he should have probably not done the female druid form. I think it would have been better received.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just not. I guess I'm not that.
I don't know. I think because I am in like a kind of a higher up position in a very corporate company, it's easy for me to see that there's an error to the ways here.
I can see the error to the ways. I just don't. It doesn't affect me like that though. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not personally offended by anything anyone does, but
that's what I'm saying too.
I do think it is sort of insensitive to take away from this, like, kind of like I feel represented in a video game, and like she's obviously pretty emotional about this. Like, good for her. I don't feel that. Like I don't have the empathy to what she's going through, but I can understand how she's like excited, and so I think to use her same verbiage is. I mean, it's just not.
It's just
not
saying
good.
It looks like a clown. I'm a clown. I
think that knowing Quinn, like I do, because I've met Quinn multiple times IRL, and I don't think he does anything maliciously, but I do think he often acts without thinking. I don't think that's in question. So,
anyway, interesting group. So it's a thing, I guess. There's always some kind of Quinn drama. If he's not banned on YouTube or Twitch somehow, then
which is usually a result of him just not thinking something through or being a little empathetic. So yeah, I think this is
why people like him. That's why people watch him.
Sure.
The last question that we have comes from Akers. He says, "What quote has hit you the hardest?" What quote has hit you the hardest? I have one. I know I've talked about it before on the pod. I don't know if it was specifically in this context, but it's really stupid because the quote that makes the most sense to me, I've read on the wall of my gym. Like the gym by my house, they've spray painted really big, like motivational quotes, like all over the whole gym. They're like on all the walls and stuff all over the place. Actually kind of cool. I think it's a great idea. But the one that hit me is I'm running on the treadmill one day and I'm reading these quotes that are all over the walls. And one of them says, "Today's actions are tomorrow's results." And I like that quote a lot because it's true in everything.
True.
It's true in literally everything. What you eat today is what you're going to look like tomorrow. What you exercise today is what you're going to look like tomorrow. What you do in work, how your effort you put in today is going to be your results you get tomorrow. Same with gaming. Like every single aspect of your life. You want to be good at a game, you put the work in today, you'll be better tomorrow. You want to be good at a sport, you put the work in today, you'll be better tomorrow. So I think that quote has stuck with me since I read it. It was years ago. I still remember reading that quote. It was probably 10 years ago I read that quote. And I think about it. There are moments specifically like if I'm dieting or whatever, and I'm like, man, I really want to eat this shitty food. And then I literally will think that. I'm like, what I do today is going to be what I want tomorrow. And I don't want that result. So I don't do it.
It's a good one.
Yeah, I like it.
I have 3.
Okay.
And they'll go in tiers. Okay. So my first one I try to live by, is die with memories, not dreams.
Okay.
Number 2 is the longer you entertain what's not for you, the further you postpone what is.
Okay.
And then the last one, the best things in life are on the other side of fear.
Interesting.
Those are my top 3.
I like them. Pretty good, man.
Yeah.
The things that are most interesting are on the other side of fear.
The best things in life
are
on the other side of fear.
You could die, though.
Good.
That'd be the best thing in life. I'm with you. Okay. That's it, man. That's all the questions that we had.
Easy
pod. Yeah. Thanks for tuning in to season 2, episode 3.
Season 2, episode 3. Do you think I mean, so next Thursday I have to drive my parents home from the airport, so like wouldn't even be able to do it.
We haven't talked about a schedule.
Yeah.
I would say if you guys are interested in the next episode and when we hit it up, follow us on Twitter. We'll tweet it out. We'll talk about it and we'll tweet something out. And again, join our Discords if you're not already in there. Follow us on Twitter and you can ask some questions in there.
Have you put any thought into what's your schedule kind of look? Are you going to stream it all before Diablo 4 comes out, or like?
Yeah, so I actually reached out to the last APOC team because people keep telling me the last APOC patch is good.
Okay.
And so I reached out to them, and I was like, "Hey, interested in streaming your game? You guys want to hook me up because I'm cheap." And we'll see. They said the guy I reached out to says, "Hey, I got to pass it to this guy. I'll get back to you." So we'll see. If they hook me up with a copy, then I'll probably stream it this weekend. I'll check it out. And if they don't, then, we'll do something else.
Okay.
But yeah, probably stream one day this weekend. How about you?
I definitely, for me, again, if we're holding true to, if there's any truth to that sort of tinfoil hat, right? Like where I was like, well, Chris Wilson said Path of Exiles potentially last league could be the one at ExileCon, so September could be Path of Exile 2. So I'm kind of maybe even treating this upcoming league next Friday, as potentially the last POE league I could be playing. Potentially.
Okay.
So I'll probably go pretty ham.
Go hard?
Is my intent. So I do think I'll be streaming that. Usually if I'm playing a game, I'm streaming. So yeah, I think I'll be going on that for a while, and then Diablo 4 comes out. I'll obviously be streaming that a ton. But.
Yeah, same for me. Diablo 4, obviously, I'm gonna stream like probably a madman the first couple of weeks. I plan on using some vacation so I can just go hard in the paint at least the first week or so. And then, I'll be on more-ish. So, you can hit me up at twitch.tv/ThaPChild. Drop a follow on there and you'll get the notifications. Twitter and Discord are good places as well. Discord's the best place to just, if you want to ask a random question, whether it be for the podcast or just not for the podcast, Discord is by far the best place. And if you're just interested in other info, then Twitter's the spot to be.
Yeah. Obviously, Lord_Fluffy, __ on Twitter. And if you like IRL stuff, follow me on Instagram, Lord of the Fluff. But until next time, TBD, we'll see you guys. Peace out.
Peace.